boy, were those comments hurtful.
Wow.
They were hurtful to me, not because they were attacking me, but because they were attacking him. Like, to the point where it was like, oh, she married him for a green card. Literally, she went to the slave field to marry him. Like, those are just some of the lighter ones.
Welcome to Fellowship, guys.
Hey.
I'm your host, Rece. What is going on? I hope y'all are great. We come to the house hungry, but we leave super full, physically, spiritually, emotionally, you name it. And if you don't leave full, that's a choice, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, for real.
But that doesn't happen here in this house. So I'm so grateful to actually be on this couch because, guys, this is a very, very special episode. It's going to be very thought-provoking. It might even ruffle some feathers. But it is not, it's not fair to get offended by someone else's experience. Right. So if you are a first generation, you need to pull up. If you are in an intercultural relationship, you need to pull up. If you are an immigrant, you need to pull up. If you are in any walks of life, whatever it is, you need to pull up. If you are in a relationship, whether it be romantic, platonic, and you're trying to understand what is unconventional, you need to pull up. As somebody that has immigrant parents, my perspective still is different from everybody else that's on this couch. But I have to introduce these people. These people are near and dear to me. I love them. I love everybody that's on my couch. First of all, that's one thing about this show that I love is the fact that these relationships that I've built on this couch were built years ago. And I'm receiving that blessing of them, of their community this time around. And this is the most important time for me, especially in my 30s, when it counts the most. I'm just so blessed. I'm overly blessed. But y'all, we have like some open books. We have some stories to tell. We have some experiences. We have some things for you guys to hear. First of all, we have on the couch a wonderful couple. And I actually met Jeff much earlier in my life. And he's still attached at the hip. That's my dog. But I want to introduce somebody that I truly do care about, who is getting married, who is planning a wedding, and who is also Colombian.
Yo.
And it's so funny because he's the most A-leaf Colombian I have ever met in my life.
Oh, bro,
he is so A-leaf, and I'm like, wait, you're Colombian? It just. Whenever we're having conversations, it just don't match up. Then I'm like, okay, now he's really talking. I'm like, okay, yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense. But the most A-leaf Colombian I've ever met in my life, who also is very educated. Our conversations are always just so, it just keeps me full. And he has his beautiful fiance here today, Erin, as well. And ladies and gentlemen, Jeff and Erin.
What's up? What's good? What's good? An honor. Thank you so much.
Of course. And first and last but not least, this is my dog right here. This is my girl. This is my sister right here. I am an honorary Indian because of this one. She has taken me on romantic dates. She has taken me on, the girl just does what she does for me. I don't know. This is also somebody that has definitely been with me and have supported me. Like I said, y'all, this is why I love this show, is because these are relationships that I built years ago. This is somebody that has supported me in different milestones in my life and is still here, who was here even when I first started being a caterer. So Lord knows I take this very, very serious. This person she married a Nigerian. So we're going to hear about that too. We're going to hear about that too. She is well accomplished. She is amazing. She is not only a wife, but she's a daughter. She's a sister. She's a friend. And she's one of my sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, Monica.
Happy to be here, girl.
I love these intros, man.
So I'm glad y'all like that intro. That's all I think gas y'all.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Guys, I couldn't speak at your wedding. Oh my gosh.
Make sure you have her drop a line.
Baby, I would have to give you a check. You know how much Obama's getting paid for a speaking engagement?
No.
$600,000.
Oh.
Wow.
Just to speak for 20 minutes.
He could have covered my whole wedding.
Hell.
Who's you? Okay, we
Bro,
gonna get to that.
Two weddings. Two of my whole
I give advice for free.
You need to start getting paid.
We need to change our jobs. We just need to change our
bro.
occupations.
Shoot.
But no, y'all deserve that introduction. I should have went longer. I could have went longer, to be honest with you. Could have went longer. So, welcome to the show, guys. First of all, are y'all good? How are
Gucci.
y'all fed?
Absolutely.
Y'all know I feed my guests every time. That's what fellowship is. They're not only eating physically, but like I said, we're going to leave full physically, emotionally, spiritually,
That
and
gumbo
mentally.
hit, dog.
I'm glad you like the gumbo. It's cold outside. Well, Houston is hot and cold. You just don't know what, like, we can't decide what we like, what we
Bro, that
dislike.
bipolar weather, man.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we sick every other couple weeks. We sick once a week, twice a week, whatever. I'm so excited to have you guys on the show. I really, really am. I am so grateful that you even took out your busy times. See, that's another thing that people don't talk about, the schedules.
Yep.
Scheduling people, this is the hardest part about fellowship. But one thing about it is, though, that I know that y'all always gonna come through for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Y'all always gonna come through for
Whether
me.
you buying a car.
You got people buying cars before the episodes. I was like,
over here.
yo,
Gonna make it.
we're not gonna act like somebody didn't buy a car before they walked up in here.
I want to know who they are.
Like,
Speak up.
I was just like, we're buying cars before we didn't schedule the stuff, and you talking about you buying a car,
Right?
Like,
It had to be
Got
done.
me missing my date
done.
I was
today.
like, this one got to miss out on dinner because somebody decided to go buy a car.
And you know I'm the cook, right?
Like, what type of flex is that?
I'm sorry, dog.
What kind of
It's all
flex is
good. It's all
that?
good. It's all good.
I was like, he call me, Rece. Oh my God, like, yo, I'm signing the paper to a car. I'm like, this nigga buying a car.
That's
He's buying a car. Who does that? I'm like, you know what? Okay, that's cool.
Thank you.
Whatever. But congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Because
dog.
you deserved it.
Yeah.
I
Thank
said,
you.
take your time. We wasn't starting without you.
God is
starting
good.
without you.
All right.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
You feel?
So guys, y'all are in two different walks of life. There's clearly there's two different stories. The floor is about to be y'all's. I mean, I'm just here to listen. I'm hoping that everybody at home also gains some perspective, because here's what I need y'all to know too, is that the goal is not for you to agree. The goal is for you to just listen. And because everybody has their own experience, and that's the whole point of fellowship, is that we listen to other conversations. I would say we need to respect one another, especially when it comes to everybody's experience. So I just want to come right in. First of all, y'all are getting married.
Yes.
Y'all are
Yes.
getting married. How is that going?
I ain't gonna lie to you. It's an interesting experience because number one, we're both new at it.
Yes.
Number two, we're understanding day by day how love shapes us. But we're familiar with it. Like, we know what it can do. But to see us grow within each other real time is something so beautiful. And so through this, we're learning so many things. For me, it's about let's see, the best way I can put it is timeliness, right?
Speaking of.
Punctuality, right? But also consideration.
Yeah.
You know, earlier when we were talking about going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
That piece right there alone for me is a big part, because I'm a person who, and this got put in my heart as a very young man, is that I will give myself to the world, right?
Yeah.
And I got this from church, because what did Jesus do?
Give himself to the world.
Exactly. So not to the point of exhaustion, but I always told myself that for all my loved ones, I will give it all I got, all my might, whatever it is, whether it be something as minuscule as, hey, baby, buy me some, little Starburst, this, that, whatever, to the biggest of things like, I really need you to be by my side when I buy this car. but even within all that, Rece, like planning the wedding, you know, and taking these little small elements along the way really has shaped my experience. It's made me so excited to do something like this. And it's also made me realize that I'm doing it with the right person.
Yeah.
Then that's important.
Bro, tell me about it.
And that's important. I feel like it's one thing to, you know, when people always say this thing like, oh, it's a match made in heaven and things like that. I think that for me, you don't realize that you can, in order to like actually do life, you have to do it with the right person.
Right.
Yes.
You can't just do it with that fantasy.
No.
Or, you know, it's because life is not vanity. Like life will life.
Yeah.
Right.
Life will actually life. And I feel like you know who that person is when they're actually still walking along with you, when they're, you know, not that they're accepting your flaws, but they're working with you with them.
Yes.
They are helping you build your character.
Yes.
They are putting a mirror to your face sometimes.
Right.
Because because I think that sometimes that we forget is that, you know, this is no longer about us by ourselves.
Right.
Yes.
We're actually sharing with someone,
Sharing.
and we are now one body. And now there's a covenant that's going to be in between us now. And, you know, in order for us to see the fruit of it, we have to do the work.
Yes.
Right.
So
You do, yeah.
but you got to do it with the right person.
With the
Right.
right
You know,
person.
With the right person.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with you on that. I think it's interesting because that I'm, you know, wedding planning, you know, it's people are so quick to be like, oh, well, you know, they're talking about the details of the wedding and things like that. Y'all are talking about like intimacy, like as far as emotionally and like just the intellect, your intimacy between each other and just kind of like the relationship, and that's important. I think that, you know, the wedding is great. Wedding is great. You know, we've had weddings, you know, but all of that doesn't matter after the wedding. Like nobody remembers the decor.
No.
Nobody remembers what you ate. Nobody remembers if they were lit or not. You know, people only have memories and pictures and videos left.
Yes.
But nobody's going home with you guys. Nobody's going home with you guys. And I think that's one of the things that I think I have always reminded myself post wedding and post marriage. Well, I'm still married, but post wedding, not post marriage. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like so. That's one of the things that I've always realized post wedding. So with you, my friend,
Yes, darling.
you are coming up on a year in April.
Yeah, great memory, girl.
Come on,
Congratulations.
you know, I was there.
Yes,
I was
you were.
there.
You went there
was
through it all.
I was
And
there.
that- all. Every tear, she was there.
You know, so since you're stepping into the new year, and then April is coming on 1 year. How has these past few months looked like?
Man, marriage is hard, girl. Marriage is hard. I love Brian with every bit of me. But we've been together for 7 years.
Yes.
We lived together through COVID, and we fought the world to be together, right? But if we didn't wake up, I will say, we didn't have the glory of the hardships that we had before marriage, I don't know how easy it would be to make marriage work.
Wow.
Like, I am a person who, like, I have a lot of self-worth. You know, I've been through a lot. I grew up with a lot, and I demand a lot. And our dynamic is very different. Like, he grew up with, you know, he's very simple. His family's very resilient. You know, if you say no, he can, like, accept that. Like, he's just a very easygoing guy. My parents will tell you, they love that so much about him. Like, he's so easygoing, fits into our family so well. But his family will tell you the same thing. They'll say, hey, we love her because she makes us do things, step out of our wings and stuff like that. But those two things, they butt heads often. Like, I'm a very clean person. Like, I'm like, hey, you got to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, hey, I was raised to do this and this. And he's like, well, I wasn't. I'm like, all right, well, we got to work towards that. And it's like, how do you have those conversations without making someone feel less than or disrespecting, right?
Yeah.
So our first, like, bits of marriage is just, you know, respecting each other, loving each other, and understanding it's going to take day by day to work through it.
100%.
But I will say, I think we've had a very successful first year. Like, families are very involved, you know. We have support from both sides. Like, Brian has my mother's back 100%. Like, if she even senses, like, I'm doing a little too much to him, she'll sit me down and say, Monica, you can't be doing that. Like, he is a good guy. You have a great husband. You need to go figure that out and lower your tone. Versus his mom will call me and say, hey, is my son taking care of you? Like, And I'm like, yeah, he is, Mama. He's out with the guys. She's like, he doesn't need to be out with the guys. He needs to be home with his wife. His wife is his best friend. You know, like our parents have each other's back. It's never like, oh, I got to protect my child. Like they know that we're both safe and secure taking of each other. Yeah. So they know it's their job to take care of us, you know, which is not common in like the Indian community. You see mothers back their son to the
girl, Nigerians. Nigerians and their sons.
You know?
Oh my goodness.
Nah, extend that to ethnic.
Ethnic.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest blessing I had about marrying outside my race. And it's nothing saying, hey, like that's every culture, right? But there's a little leeway you get of not being in that culture. Like there's no expectation of you to do everything to the T. It's like I don't have to be the traditional wife where I'm like, I'm the one cooking, the cleaning, and I have to have kids on your terms, you know?
Right.
So it's just been a great, like this first year has been about me and Brian. And I can say in the 7 years I've been with him, I've never had it's been about me and Brian. It's about, oh, what does my family have to say? Oh, like, are we gonna ever get married? Like the world is just shooting, you know, at us, and it's just like we don't know what's gonna happen. So
that's beautiful, though.
I think
it's been a peaceful year.
Yeah.
I love to hear that because you know you always hear the qualms of the first 5 years of marriage is usually the hardest years of marriage, and I love that you mentioned the family dynamics because you know. Of course, people that don't know you know that you're married to a Nigerian, you know, and then you're Indian, you know, and then just that cultural dynamic. What is that like doing something that's unconventional? How is that, you know, especially with you come from a background that they are very hardcore when it comes to their culture, their children, their generations, their family, and even a Nigerian also does too. A Nigerian, we're very, very, when it comes to family, this is how we see family. It's very structured. This is how we see our children. This is what we want our children to do. This is how we want it. Everything is according to based off of like traditions and customs and things like that. So now that you have two backgrounds now that are like culturally focused, how has that been mixing that together?
Man, it's been amazing. I will say, I think it was one thing. It wasn't about marrying someone that was of a different culture to me. It was about marrying someone that did have a culture.
Wow.
Like it's like you have to have like, and again, this is not meant to like disrespect. If you come from something that, you know, you have a big culture, whatnot. For me personally, I grew up, you know, going to temples, wearing my Indian clothes, eating the Indian food, praying to all the gods, you know, getting bedtime stories read to me, following a Hindu book, you know, a mother that devotes her whole life to prayer. You don't have to you don't have to make your life similar to that in order for me to be comfortable. I need to know, hey, your mom was devoted to prayer. You know, you grew up with something that embedded you into being the man you are today. You know, like the Nigerian clothes, the food. You know, it's not the same thing, but it's the same concept at the end of the day. You know, those strict values were very important to me that we both share those, and we don't have to be the same. That's the beauty of it. I know, like for example, my brother and sister-in-law, they're both the same Indian, but they still have differences on the way they want to do things.
Absolutely,
you're always going to have differences. Doesn't matter if you can be spit spot on the same concept of, you know, religion, whatever tradition it is, but it's a matter of how high-end do you want to take it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think it's just, it's like, I told you this already, but we had like 3 weddings. We had a Nigerian wedding, a church ceremony, a Hindu ceremony. We had like 8 wedding events. And my favorite, like I dreamed to have a Hindu wedding. I dreamed of that since I was a little girl. My favorite was my Nigerian ceremony. It was something my in-laws did for us.
Wow. And
it just felt like I truly, like people always ask me, what's your wedding day? I'm like, okay, the church day is our wedding date. But I felt married as soon as I had my traditional ceremony, Nigerian traditional ceremony.
So that's interesting because so the Nigerian piece. So what about that? Because you've always dreamed of having a Hindu wedding.
Oh, always.
You've always dreamed of that. And then just is it the person that you married that kind of made you feel like, you know what, this night did you feel more welcomed at that traditional wedding, or is it that? What was that like? Because I'm wondering, like, for someone that's always dreamed to have a Hindu wedding and you see yourself in these clothes and things like that, what about the Nigerian wedding just captivated you more?
Let me tell you, this one's going to get a little deep for you. What captivated a little more for me personally was, so I know a lot of people don't know this, my mother, she wasn't on board about this wedding. Like, and she's known me and Brian have been together for 7 years, you know, and in her soul, she was just like, no, you're gonna marry an Indian guy, you're gonna marry an Indian guy. Up until 2 months before my Nigerian wedding, was it that she was like, okay, like, I'll come, like, and even then she was still having a hard time, like, accepting a different culture, having a wedding that was a part of a different culture. And I basically told her, like, look, Mom, you're going to do this part of the ceremony, you're gonna do this the Nigerian way, or I don't want you to come to my Hindu ceremony. Like, that's that. Like, this is a culture.
It'd be like that, man.
Yeah, you know?
Sometimes when you have to parent your parents.
Yeah, you have to parent your parents.
Like, because it's like, because what I'm hearing is that you're playing tug of war with your heart and your family.
Exactly.
And you don't want to, and you literally don't want to break either one. But it comes to a place where you're just like, okay, am I choosing me?
Yeah.
Or do I choose them? Because you're not marrying your parents anymore.
No.
You're in a whole different
I
home.
don't lay in bed with my parents at night.
Listen.
Look, my parent, like, through sickness and health, you know, like, so that part, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like, Rece, that was a really hard for me too. Like, I'm trying to unlearn the things I've learned. Like, remember, I looked forward to my Hindu wedding.
Yes.
Was there a part of me that looked forward to my Nigerian wedding? No, I don't know what that felt like. I don't know what that was gonna be. There was the thrill, like, I have no idea. All I have to go off is like, what's your wedding look like, right? I'm like, I know I'm gonna be a great bride. But then when you're there and you see your mother in traditional clothes that aren't hers, that are of your husband's, like, after it took years for her to come around, you see her dancing with the biggest smile on her face. You see your dad there, you know. You see your aunt and uncle. You see your husband just happy. You see all your closest friends and family just embedded in this culture that none of them know. We've all been to Indian weddings. All of our friends have. We haven't done this together. And this is Brian's side, someone who's so private, someone who doesn't, like, put his culture onto a lot of people. We get to shine light on him. And so that's why it was very important to me, because it was a very family-bringing moment to me.
Facts.
It was like really that was a finish line to me. That was like, oh, we made it. That, like, tied it all together, you know?
2 months before the wedding.
2 months before the wedding, girl.
Wow.
And mind you, I had already had it set in my head, my mom might not come to my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, I had already embedded it, like, okay, like.
You know what's interesting to me is that you think that this is only happening in your community.
No.
Right.
You think this is only happening in your specific community. Because I know how serious Nigerians are when it comes to the wedding portion of their children. I know how mind-blowing, like, not even mind-blowing, I know how, like, I would say, serious our parents can get and how much they actually sometimes suck the fun out of getting married.
Oh, girl.
Because they are so consumed with themselves and what they want that they disregard your feelings and they disregard your emotions.
It's their wedding.
It's their wedding.
their wedding.
And they don't unlove you. Right. They love you. They just don't really know how to express, you know, what they're feeling. They don't really know how to articulate it. You know why, though? What I'm finding out is that they weren't really given the chance to do that when they were they were growing up. Yeah. A lot of our parents are married to people that they probably shouldn't have married.
Yeah, generational curses.
Generational curses. There are parents. A lot of our parents are in or are having kids with people that they probably shouldn't have had kids with. Yeah. But because culture, they stayed.
Yeah. Because of culture,
they endured.
They stayed in marriages.
They stayed in marriages and they stayed in things. And you know what the thing is? Like, I would always tell my mom. My mom still laughs about this to this day. I was like, look, my name is not Endurance. My name is not Endurance. So that whole thing of enduring, I don't know what that's like, and I don't want to endure, especially if I don't have to. Yeah. Why do, like, and especially with an ethnic background, the thing about holding such burdens, and it's like you get a brownie points on them. You get accolades on them. I'm like, no one gets an award for suffering like that.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, I have friends that their parents didn't even come to the wedding.
Right.
And it's so mind-blowing because it's like, wow, you didn't even think of your baby.
Right.
You didn't even think that moment.
You care about what society was going to say.
You care about what people think.
People who pay your bills, people who hold you at night.
Wow. They don't. They don't pay your bills. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know anything.
No.
And you're so focused.
They laugh.
You're so focused on your culture. You're so focused on what people think.
I think they forget also that, you know, like that a wedding and marriage is a big significant moment of, hey, I'm cleaving from you. Like this is me stepping away from you. This is me coming into my own, becoming a person and building a family with this person that I found and that I love. Yeah. And it may not look like what you expected or wanted from me, but, you know, I just expect you to support us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the very least that you have to do. You know, when you said that you were prepared for your mom not to be there.
Wholeheartedly.
Yo, straight up, that shit broke my heart. Because I would have expected, you know what I'm saying, coming from a culture that is so big.
Yeah.
And family-oriented.
Family-oriented,
Yes.
right? So big on that you should still be there.
Right.
Still be there. You know, and I think all of us collectively has seen examples of somebody in our family supporting a person that is purposely going down the wrong path.
Oh.
But somebody's right
Drugs,
there.
Jail.
Whatever it is. Whatever vice it is.
Yeah.
Right? They still walking with that person, holding their hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Saying, hey man, look, we're gonna get you out of this. It's crazy to me because the moment that us, as the first generation, does something that is
uncouth.
Yes.
Something that is uncouth, something that they don't accept in their eyes. I love that word.
That's such a good word.
Yeah, you know, you like they just ostracize you, they blackball you on purpose. And I'm like, yo, nah, that ain't right. Like, what you doing?
It's not
it
fair.
Makes absolutely no sense to me. And I feel like that's such a it's a huge paradox about being ethnic. Because you want to be politically correct.
Oh my Lord.
Right? No, because everything that we just described was about being politically correct.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like it has to look like this, that, and the third.
Yes.
You want to do that, but at the same time, preach that you're an individual.
Yes.
Bro, it don't work like that.
Yeah, like you're trying to paint this picture, but we're only getting the highlight reel.
Yes.
Like what about the behind the scenes? You know, like all that.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm just to piggyback off what you said. The expectation for my family to be there, it was there. It was there for 7 years. It was there when I got engaged. It was there after my engagement when nobody wanted to talk to me. Like when I was planning a wedding on my own. Mind you, everything I knew growing up, you got kids who come from very, very wealthy families. My family's very wealthy, right? Their parents fund the whole wedding. Who was funding our wedding? Me and Brian were funding our wedding. We didn't ask for anything. My mom decided to step in and help along the way, and we took that, you know?
Right.
But everything I knew growing up, it wasn't put into the picture for my wedding, you know? And it's like we went wedding shopping, and she still was like, no, I'm not coming. Like, I'll take you wedding shopping because this is what a mother's supposed to do, but I'm not coming. Like, you're picking my wedding off is like, this is taking away the emotion from me that I deserve.
Yeah.
And so it was like, then I'm like, look, I have to separate, like, or I will bawl my eyes out on my wedding day if I don't see my mom in the crowd. Like, I have to get it put in my head that she won't be there.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because my husband's going to be there.
Baby, listen, you know, it's so funny when you come to a harsh reality where you're like, the only person that I need to see at that altar is my husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only person I need to see is the spouse at the altar. I don't even see the guests. Even if I sent them invitations, whatever the bridal party, nobody matters except that
There's
person
one
that's at the
face
altar.
you're looking for.
That's one face.
Yeah.
So like, I have to ask you this.
Of course.
You got to a place where now, is there, of course, I guess I'm kind of looking at it like this. Like, you got to a place where you're like, okay, if I want to have joy, I have to choose it. Was Brian ever like uncomfortable?
God bless that man's soul. That man, literally, like, him and his family. His family was always like, hey, Monica, like, you know, your family has to accept this. Like, they always, you know how that goes. You know how Nigerian families are. You know how all families are. They don't want you getting married without your parents' blessing, because his family knows how close I am to my mom. Like, my mother's my rock and soul. She's like, granted, that whole wedding situation was a terror, but it's like, she's done so much for, you have that manipulation in your head that your parents done so much for you growing up that
Oh, Lord.
when you get to that, you're like, I owe this back to them. And I constantly got, that was the conversations I constantly got, like, are you really going to do this to your mom? I'm like, what am I doing to her?
And when you realize there's no blood on your hands.
What am I doing?
If there's no blood on your hands.
Literally.
You have to choose joy at this point.
I have to.
You have to.
You know?
Because because it is manipulation.
It's manipulation.
It is.
Yes.
And they don't see that because, again, they're trying to follow a doctrine and a culture. You know, to you, you're like, I just want to be in love.
I just want
to love my husband. I just want to go home to my husband.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying. But like on the outside looking in, they're like, well, what you're doing is a mistake.
Yeah.
And you're like, what mistake did I make?
No.
There was no blood on your hands.
Chris, I thought this
Zero.
way. I thought this down to my kids. I was like, look, I see the way I was raised. I see everything hard in my life because, you know, my family dynamic was what it was. And I want nothing like that for the home I create. So I'm not going to take advice from something that didn't work to me. I'm not gonna. Granted, I probably would have been more obedient, and I would have done the whole marry the Hindu, marry the Indian, marry the perfect glamour boy who makes all the money and you can be your stay-at-home wife. I would have done all that if I had the perfect example of that.
Wow.
But how many people really get all that and have the perfect example of that?
Baby, listen.
You know?
Very
so
true.
I chose a guy who humbled himself, who humbled me, who taught me, like, who put me through therapy, who really challenged me to be a better person, you know? Like, criticized me day after day to say, hey, you, like, really put his efforts into me to be the person he wanted a wife to be. And he didn't change me. He just wanted me to heal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the biggest thing. It was when Brian told me, hey, it's therapy or it's me. It's not anything else other. It's like, hey, you gotta fix yourself, but we cannot be together until you fix what's going on up here.
Let's give a round of applause for Brian.
My baby's not here yet. He's shy.
She was here.
I wish Brian was here, but he's so damn shy.
No, he's so shy, but I can speak for the both of us. He's just a really good guy. And granted, Brian's been through a lot more than I have in life. And still every day he's such a resilient man. He's taught me how to be resilient, you know, not hold grudges and be like, I always tell him I'm scared to have kids because what if I'm anything like what I've like been around, you know? Right. And he's like, no, you're gonna be a good mom. You just gotta really, you know, stick with like what you've learned.
Yes.
Yeah. Man,
yes.
I was having a conversation with my mom. Me and my mom talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And so me and my mom were talking about how, you know, a lot of you guys did not prepare us for marriage.
No.
You didn't even prepare us to talk to boys.
No.
You didn't.
Because you're supposed to marry the first man you bring home. You're supposed to marry the first man.
And I'm like, how does that work?
Right. Like, you can get married, but you can't date in high
No, you
school
can't
or
date.
any of those
But God
things.
forbid you're 23 and single.
There you go.
Girl.
That part right there.
Man,
Because culture says that you have to go to school by this time, graduate by this time.
There's a strict timeline.
Start marrying.
Don't
have a
forget
kid
kids.
by this time. Don't worry about work. No. Don't worry about work.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you do this first.
Yeah.
Work will always be there.
But hey, you gotta be a doctor.
Right.
but you gotta be.
You gotta be a
But you
doctor.
gotta be a doctor.
Do
Yeah.
this, that, and the
And
third.
look, God bless. I have a lot of friends that are doctors,
Yeah.
and they're doing very, very well.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody's story.
Right.
No.
That's not
You know?
everybody's story. Everybody's
Man.
story is not to be a nurse, a pharmacist, a this, a that. Everybody has a different story.
Yeah.
And this is something I always tell my mom too. You guys have to learn how to accept that we are going to do things differently. It's going to be unconventional, but it doesn't mean that we have lost our values.
Yeah.
It does not mean we have lost our
1000%.
soul.
Because at the end of the day, that's who we are. Our values,
Yes.
what's who we are. But you have to understand, our parents, they like to coddle us. And that's what it is. They don't ever want us to stop being their babies.
Oh my God.
So they want to continue to make those decisions for us. School, marriage. Like I was telling someone the other day, it doesn't matter if you got your degree and you make your own money. It doesn't matter that you got married.
What does that mean?
It doesn't matter you got kids.
Right.
It's never enough.
They're still gonna have their input.
It's never enough.
Absolutely.
It's never
They're
enough.
still gonna
I
have
mean,
their input.
It came to a point in time for me. I had to ask my mom, like, do you not trust how you raised us enough to like let me do my own thing? Like, it may not have been the way that you wanted it or what you expected from me, but trust that you raised the right person. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
1000.
That's the question.
yeah,
of the
like,
day.
do you not trust yourself enough?
You know,
Like,
I must
that's tough.
say, when y'all are talking about the trajectory of how, you know, young ladies grow up, especially being ethnic, as a male, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I have a little brother. Two different dynamics.
And you know, I'm gonna keep it real because last year for me was very eye-opening in the sense that I have to really understand where it is that my counterparts are getting these complaints from.
Yeah.
Because people talk about shit all the time. But the thing is, if it's baseless, obviously you discard it. But if it isn't, you have to listen to it. And I gotta quote Cat Williams on this. I got to. I said this last night when we was at the bar with my cousin. I said, look, man, if 25 people say you smoke crack, you probably a crackhead. You probably are. If you have literally half the population of the world, women, saying that we getting mistreated, y'all not paying us enough. Why are y'all hoeing us? Why is society against us? Then that means we did some wrong shit. We did something wrong along the way. So understanding that, like from a macro perspective, right? And then also seeing it in a micro perspective, like just small relationships and things that I learned along the way with Erin, my sister, and my mom, the three women that I have the highest regard for, right? I now know that the way that men are raised and the things that are expected of us very different.
Yeah.
Very different. And it's wild to me because, again, when y'all were listing now all these things, like these paradoxes of, you know, bring a good man home, but you can't date nobody.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, but man, ain't nobody told me nothing like that.
Jeff, as a woman that like has such a strong cultural background, all of us on this couch, well, except I can speak for the women.
Yeah, you can.
Like, it's like they created marriage just for us.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
This is how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
This is how you become a good wife.
Right.
This is how you
Queen.
become a good mother. And it's just like, what are y'all telling y'all sons?
Right.
Yeah.
What about the sons? Because guess what? We can't marry ourselves.
No.
We're not in it like, and you know what I think it is too? And I might ruffle some feathers because a lot of our mothers are doing it by themselves.
Yes, they are.
A lot of them are
They
doing
are,
it by
absolutely.
themselves.
Yeah.
They have partners.
Yeah.
And they're present,
Yeah.
but a lot of them coexist.
A lot. See what I said?
It's in the physical. It's not in the
Thank you.
anything else.
Exactly. To coexist with someone is difficult. But also, to that point, you know, I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed to have a very active father in my life because, I mean, my man was with me at the dealership. Now, granted...
It shows, though. I can tell you it shows. By the conversations we've had, it's very evident that, you know, you're pretty straight and narrow.
Thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored
Yeah.
that you feel that way about me. For real. No, I'm playing.
I mean, I said yes. So
no, I'm just playing. But I've been very blessed to have, you know, a father figure like my dad be so active in my life to the point where he will profess this, that, and he says it in Spanish all the time, you know, like, I'm your father to the day I die, hasta el día que me muero, right? And it won't end. And that's the thing. It's about being present. It's about doing these things as a partnership. For me, partnership and also just camaraderie in general is one of the highest things that I feel like we can share with somebody outside of knowledge, love, things like that. So then when you sit there and you have a covenant with somebody, you're going to marry them or whatever, right? Bro, put your part in.
Yeah.
Do your work.
it takes two.
No,
It takes two.
So
It takes
important.
Right.
It takes two.
Right.
That's why I think it was so important for me to be with Brian, because I'm like, I didn't see you as a husband. I saw you as a great dad.
Oh, wow. Come on.
Like, I saw you as a great dad. That's where, like,
does come down
kids
to
need
that
their
too,
dads.
right.
Like, kids need a man of the house figure. Like, that is a very important role. Like you said, you're not, I mean, granted, your mom probably did a ton for you, but it's sad that we live in a society that we have to point out the dad being so important to us, you know? And I think that goes across the board, like for all cultures.
Yeah.
No, across the board, most definitely. There's this thing that I read on Instagram the other day. It was just an opinion that somebody had, but it compared about the absence of mother and father, right? Say mom, you know, forgot something for the child because she was too busy doing the other 1,800 things that she had to do. Society will lynch this woman figuratively, lynch her because she forgot to pick him up from daycare.
100%.
Yeah.
Right? Some jazz like that, something real small. But it's like, yo, I got 1,799 other tasks that I got to tend to, but this one that I forgot.
Just disregard.
You disregard. Now flip the script over to men. Again, I've been a witness to this. He forgot the baby at daycare.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
a
always
joke.
a joke.
It's a joke because society has now placed in our minds,
Good old
right?
double
But remember, at
standards.
this point, it's etched. At this point, it's etched into our minds
Embedded.
that he ain't got to do that,
No.
right?
That's crazy.
It's okay if he doesn't know. There are boundaries, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know nothing about makeup, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that. And I play with her all the time and I say, yeah, I'm a contour king. I don't know what that means.
It's the beard.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what that means. But, you know, I still have to have some type of participation in this. For example, if baby says, I don't like MAC products, guess what we not getting?
Mac products.
Yeah.
Simple, you know?
Facts.
But again, it's about partaking in this role because it takes two, man.
It
Yeah.
does.
You know, it always takes two.
does.
I think the expectation of women is a lot higher than the expectation of a man.
Absolutely.
Like,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, like, hey, the key in the lock conversation.
You feel me?
You know, the double standard of women being able to, you know, you can't sleep with that many men, but men,
You got
dap
free
you up,
reign.
hey man, you know, that's it's just a double standard. A man cheats on his wife. Who was it that just cheated on Neil Long?
Oh yeah,
all the
coach for
crazy
Rockets.
world, right?
Ime Udoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Head coach for the Rockets. Yeah.
And then you got, what is it, Young Jeezy's wife? Oh, but she cheated because they're getting a divorce. Like the double standard. But you can make that up about her, you know?
Yeah. That's wild, man.
That's crazy.
It is, it's funny because even like going back culturally, is just like, and me and my mom talk about this all the time. I'm always bringing my mom on this because we always be like, no, that's not true. We go back and forth. So me and my mom were just talking about even just women celebrating themselves within our culture or whatever. And I was telling her, I was like, a lot of you really don't even know what fun is. Because you have spent the majority of your time and your years in your marriage taking care of one person and not your kids, your spouse. You have spent the majority of your time taking care of this person. I was like, Mom, a lot of your peers are very uptight because they don't know, they've only taken care of one person. And they got four other kids who have not been heard, who are not respected, who are not regarded, who are not honored, who are not loved, because you spend so much time making sure that your husband is covered.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it, of course. You have a covenant, whatever that is. But also, I do think that a lot of us that have ethnic backgrounds have a lot of resentment towards our parents. So when it comes to talking about marrying, we're like, well, why do you feel like you have a say-so? We didn't pick apart this part when I was in high school. Right. We didn't talk about this in college, and so
y'all put a lot under the rug.
Y'all swept under the rug because culturally, if we did something outside of it, it was not accepted.
Because it messes with the optics.
It messes. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep the juice going. We got to make sure everybody tastes the same flavor of the Kool-Aid. And it's just like, okay, that's nice, but what if I don't feel safe here? Because truth be told, it's a lot of people, whether it's in the Indian community, the Philippine community, the Colombian community, Nigerian community, some people that are in those communities don't even feel safe there. They don't even feel safe there.
Yeah, that's the sad truth.
That's that's why a lot of people are marrying outside of their race.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah. And you know what? I congratulate people who do that. Like how you said earlier, it's not for the optics, but it's because you actually see a person for who they are. And the thing is, like, having that futuristic or forward thinking of, look, we all the same, bro. We all bleed red. Our excrement is brown.
Everybody money green.
Everybody money green.
Like,
like, bro, we're not that different. And that's something that Erin and I talked about constantly during the first 2 years of us dating, because I came from a time where, like, being with Asian people was polar, oil and water.
Yeah.
Because you had a bunch of crazy experiences.
Man, bro.
How that treated you.
Bro.
Are Asians his thing?
Bro.
I guess so.
Look, the thing is, like, for me, when I was in grad school, I got played, bro. I got played.
Why you got played, bro? What you do?
No. It wasn't. You can't put all the blame on me, man. So, I mean, I was doing my thing, of course, but I came in with, like, an inflated ego. I will admit, it has reduced in size in the past couple years. But the thing is, I came into graduate school with this ego, and most of my peers were of Asian descent. So I felt like I had to do something to stand out, because I was only one of 6 Black people in that entire class of 140 something. So I was like, I gotta stand out. So I'm doing all these things, being mad extra, trying to be the class vice president, this, that, and the third. And I realized that even within all those leadership roles that I thought these same folks who, I guess, to some degree admired these things, they didn't.
They don't give a damn.
They don't give a damn.
No.
But it took me a long time to see that they didn't care. Because all I would hear from them was like, oh, no, he got it. Like, he good. Like, yeah, bro, you the best. This, that, and the third. And then I finally got a chance to, like, sit down and really just evaluate how things panned out for me at the end of graduate school, and how much of a relationship I really developed with some of my peers, that looked a certain way. And it wasn't positive. It wasn't.
That sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it sucks so much ass.
Colorism at its finest.
Yeah, bro. And I'm just like, so we was all on this same boat together, rowing at the same pace to get to the finish line at the same damn time. But for some reason, y'all want to hop off the boat and pretend as if I was behind y'all.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. So then I left with the sour taste in my mouth for a certain class of people. But then, and I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you, Clarice, and with you as well, Monica, right? You know, I realized that the path that I was about to go down, thinking that way, that everything had to be a certain way. Like it's gotta be Black, it's gotta be Latino and nothing else.
Yeah.
It would have closed so many doors for me.
Wow.
It would have closed so many doors. And one of the doors that I feared that it would close is me getting closer to God. And you already know, God, he uses the most unseemingly of things and people to get a message across.
And it's random.
And it's random.
It's random.
I just like, oh wow.
And when you least expect it. And you know, even though I have friends that are, you know, strong in their faith and whatever and all that, honestly, I can attribute two people in my life that have brought me so much more closer to God today. One of them is my partner, Ryan. The other one is Erin.
The woman you're marrying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I have to ask this because when I think of in the Philippines, what is the most dominant faith?
Catholic.
That is so
It's Catholic. I didn't grow up Catholic, though. I grew up Methodist. I grew up in the church. I was in church on Sundays, going to VBS every summer.
You was in Vacation Bible
Yes, I
School?
was.
Come on.
Yes, I was.
Man.
You know, I went through all those things, you know, First Communion, all those things. So, like, me getting into a relationship with someone, it was never about what ethnicity they were or anything like that. It was always about what was their relationship like with God? Because I can't be with anybody that has no idea what that's like. Because I have a really strong faith in God, and I wanted the same thing for my partner too. So, you know.
That is so interesting because the assumption, especially like just with Philippine culture, I would assume that I thought of Buddhism, I thought of Confucianism, I thought of different types of other religions. So it's amazing to hear that she is what led you further to Christ.
Yeah.
You know,
and she Asian.
And
she's Asian.
Right?
She's Asian.
It's far-fetched. And I'm learning something today because I don't know a lot of Asians as Christian. I don't
because we
know.
think Buddhist, right? Automatically we think Buddhist.
Automatically. I
Same
mean,
thing too
like
sometimes.
the Asians that are on my, like where I grew up, they were all Buddhists.
Yeah.
They were all Buddhists. I grew up in Greenspoint, baby.
Oh, girl.
I grew up in Greenspoint, baby.
Navy girl. Buddhist Navy.
Okay, but the Asians that I knew, like I said, growing up, the few that I knew were all Buddhists. Only one converted to Christianity. Only one. And he's the only one out of his whole household.
Wow.
Talk about blackballed, cut off. And it's just him and his wife.
Wow.
I believe it though.
And he's happy.
And he's happy.
The happiest he's ever
And
been.
he's happy. But it goes back to what's culturally accepted.
Right.
Yes.
It goes back to that. Are you choosing what you know or what you love?
Exactly.
Which one out of it? Because it's like, I hate the fact that we have to play tug of war with these things.
Right.
I hate that we have to fight the people that we love
Yes.
on things like this. Because I'm always like, well, I thought you automatically are supposed to love your child.
Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to like, you know, not that you should agree with everything with your child. You know, I do understand parents are not equals with their children.
No, of course, of course.
I do understand they are not equals. But I also do believe that there can be sometimes parents don't give themselves the opportunity to just sit and learn and establish like this dialogue of what you think love looks like.
Yes.
Find out from your what does love look like to you? What does that look like to you? You know, I want to ask y'all. First of all, do y'all even want to have kids?
Yes.
You know, you got to ask first. Some people don't want to have no kids.
For sure.
Got to ask that. So let's start there. So, are you guys ever afraid of those uncomfortable conversations regarding, you know, just the differences? Because you guys are going to have mixed babies.
Yes.
That the truth is like, keep it a buck. Y'all gonna have children that are gonna have this culture and that culture. what type of conversations, or are you guys thinking about that right now? Or you're like, when we cross that bridge, we'll talk about it.
No, we've actually had these conversations. We watched a documentary on HBO recently about interracial dating and interracial families and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jeff and I, after that, we were like, well, what about us? Because this is going to be our future. Like, how are we going to handle this? Because we want our kids to understand, like, look, you're not this or that. You're both. Yeah. You're everything. You know what I mean? But you have to, like, we have to teach. I talked to Jeff about this. Like, we have to teach them it's okay to be different. You know what I mean? Like, I think we grew up kind of like, okay, well, we have to fit in. We have to fit into this mold or whatever.
We have insecurities growing up.
Yeah.
That insecurity of being different, it doesn't matter if you went to school. Like, I went to school, I literally, only Black people. Right. That's all I saw growing up. But there's still insecurities within that community because you're like, dang, well, my last name is not in English.
Yeah.
Theirs is in English.
Yeah.
There's a Williams, there's a Johnson, there's a Smith.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I got a whole Nigerian last name.
Yeah.
Wonder how that would be if it was different, you know?
Right.
Not that I wanted an American name. You know, your name is what your name is. So it's like these things, like, I thought about that early, like later on in life when I got older, like, man, what would it be like? But if I grew up this way. So it's just like, I'm wondering like how those conversations would be like.
And it's like assimilation. Like my parents, they never taught us our language because they were afraid that we would get made fun of for speaking a second language.
Really?
I have a coworker that told me that.
Wow.
That is so
I couldn't believe it. I was
an
like,
Asian?
Yes.
That are hardcore. Girl,
Right.
wow.
I got
Big
an
old
Indian
pride.
coworker that told me the same thing. I was like, no way.
Absolutely not.
But she still had to marry Indian. And I'm like, I'm so confused.
Exactly.
But you know what? So that's one thing that my parents regret. My dad tells me all the time, he's like, I wish you guys knew Igbo. I just wish I would have just sat down. Bradley's the only one that speaks Igbo.
What?
And you know why? Because Bradley chose to learn.
Yeah.
Bradley took classes.
Wow.
Me and Bradley are the ones that understood the language in the house. Chris was the middle child.
Yeah. That's me against my brothers.
The middle
I
child.
understand. They don't.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
I'm getting mad at Brian all the time. Like, why don't you know the language? I'm like, I want to teach our kids both languages, but now I feel selfish because I can only teach one. I want to come in learning it. I want to come learning it.
It's crazy. Like, wow, that is so crazy to hear you say that. Because growing up, my dad was like, I really wish you guys knew Igbo. But you know what's funny is that he speaks Igbo to me all the time. But I can literally walk in a conversation on accent, but like, oh, I wasn't supposed to hear that. Yeah. And I turn around. But like the thing about it is, my dad was like, because my dad like literally pushed us and was like, I want y'all to be going home. Even now, like we go home by ourselves. We don't wait for our parents. Cool. You know, we go back to Nigeria ourselves. And so he'll be like, just go. Don't worry about me. Like, you guys have passports, you go. And like, he's like, I always wanted you guys to know the language because at least if you go there, God forbid somebody's trying to like rob you or say something or act crazy, you know, like you're able to communicate. You know, I know that you understand it, but I would have loved for you to speak it, you know. But like I told my dad too, my rebuttal was, you didn't teach us growing up. Y'all spoke English to us. Yeah. But they did speak Igbo to me. I chose to also understand it too. It was, I don't know, it was just, I was always around it. But Bradley was like, you know, Bradley also speaks Spanish fluently.
Bro,
I don't know. He speaks.
Bradley is a
I told y'all that one is very different. I told him he's very, very different.
That man's the outlier, yo.
Right? He went to Spain and did a whole he stayed with in a remote area with a family that only spoke Spanish. He didn't have a choice. So and then he did Spanish all throughout his school years. But he is trilingual.
Wow. Yeah.
So like. It's like, and I see him and I'm like, man, that's really beautiful that he knows that kind of stuff. And I think that it's just so interesting to hear you say that they didn't want you to get made fun of. Yeah. You know, there was a point in our growing up is that our dad wanted to change our last names to my grandfather's first name because he was like, I'll just have it English. You know, I just want y'all to have English names. But then it came to a place where he was like, why? Yeah. I'm an Igbo man. Right. Like, y'all will keep your last names. Yeah. And like, because my dad was like, you guys have English first names. Yeah. I gave y'all those names because I want you to get a job. Yeah. And I want people to address y'all properly. That's what my dad says to this day. Yeah. You know, so just hearing you say that is so mind-blowing. Yeah, I never heard
it's
that.
Crazy. I remember when she told me that, I was like, wow.
Ain't no way.
Yeah, I was dumbfounded. But then also I looked at my situation. In my household, everybody has a relatively Latin name. Yeah. Jeffrey ain't Latin at in no
What's that,
way.
Jeffrey?
Exactly. And the thing,
You got a Jeffrey.
Hey, I need you to call him Hefe from now on. Hefe.
bro, everybody calls me that. But the thing was, one of my uncles that lives in New York, he actually gave the idea to name me something American/English to my mom because I would be the firstborn American in the family, right? So that's cool, right? But then also, I thought as I got
wait,
older,
Jeffrey, you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
Could have fooled me.
He's very cultured.
And because I mean, he speaks fluent Spanish,
And see, that was one of the main differences that I saw with Erin and I. I was like, wow, I came from a household where my parents are very proud and they want us to continue this very thing, whatever it is. When I got introduced into her household and I got brought into the fold, I saw the pride too. But then I also saw the fear of what? Being blackballed.
Yeah.
I also saw the fear of not assimilating well, right? And I'm like, wow, these experiences are very different for everyone, right?
Yes.
And even though my parents are bilingual as well, and they're gonna speak their Spanish,
100%.
you know what I'm saying? They will. The one of the key differences here that I saw between our parents is that it was a fear of assimilation. It was a fear of not actually being well integrated into a system, you know? And also it was a fear of not letting your culture leak out to everybody before, you know, in order to not get fun of, if that makes sense, or to not be insulted.
Yeah.
You know, my parents, they didn't care about that. But I will say, though, that the confidence that they had in their English, you know, back in the 90s was very low, of course. But of course, when we got a little bit older, my sister and I, what we would do is teach them how to say certain words. And
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I love this. Oh my gosh.
You know, and like simple things like the word sheep and the word shit, right? you already know.
Oh my God.
But it's simple things like that. But it's now gotten to the point where my family, even my sister, who also is fluent in both languages, a little more in Spanish than me, they come to me when it comes to like English wordplay, right? So the thing is, we all learn from each other. And on the opposite end, mom, master at Spanish, knows all the articles, knows the correct conjugations of all the verbs.
The conjugations is a hard part.
And both nosotros, all that. Exactly.
I remember
so
all that.
she, there you go. You better call Bradley, dog. But that's the thing, is like, you know, even within something as simple as language, you know what I'm saying? Like, the insecurities can show.
Yeah.
It's wild, though, because it's like, how can you be that proud, but then you want to turn down the volume on something like that, like your language?
Hey, but the thing about it, so it's, y'all, wow, this is funny. I was having a conversation with my mom and dad one day about just when they came here. And so when they came to this country, my mom was about like 17, 18. My dad was about shy of his 24th birthday. And they were both talking about how, you know, it's very different that I was a business major. It's very different that I have a degree in business, because growing up, they were always told, don't do business.
Yes.
Because their accent, the way that they say words, the way that they talk and things like that, the way they speak their English. They were speaking English. I understand my parents 100%. You know, to me, I'm like, well, y'all are speaking English. I don't understand. They're like, yeah, but you don't understand. When you are trying to go in for an interview and you're trying to explain yourself with people who don't necessarily understand you and where you come from, it kind of makes you shy away from actually like, it just makes you shy away from actually being who you are, you know? So those insecurities didn't start with us. It started with that generation, you know? And so sometimes I'm like, how are y'all going to tell me about, and a lot of times, I remember when I first changed my major to from a pre-farm to business. And I did that behind their back. I didn't tell them.
Dude, I remember I had to do the same thing.
I didn't tell them.
Oh gosh.
Because I didn't feel like it was none of their business and I didn't want to be discouraged.
That's when you knew you were grown.
And then
because you made that decision on your own.
On your own.
Yes.
And you felt like you didn't have to tell them.
Right.
I didn't have to tell them. I was like 20.
Yeah.
I was still trying to figure out who I was and what I was doing at U of H. I was just trying to figure things out. All I know is my heart was always at Bauer.
Yeah.
It was always at the business school.
Oh, yeah,
it was never
nice.
in the science building.
Yeah.
You know, and to this day, clearly I'm reaping the benefits of it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that I did that.
Yeah.
It was the scariest move ever because one, I'm at a crossroads of making sure that I don't hurt these people that were proud of me, that sent me off to school, and that were
Paved the way for you.
paved the way. I'm the oldest of 3. I have all these different roles and these expectations that I did not call for myself. So changing my major to business, I'm like, man, but my parents did say they're not really feeling Black folks. We're not sure if they're feeling Black folks in corporate America, you know, and I was in corporate America for 10 plus years. I was always the only one. Typically, I was one out of like sometimes 3, 6, you know, I'll be the only one. And I'm a woman. And then I'm a woman. So hearing your parents say that, and a lot of times is that it's not that they don't think that you can do it or you're not capable. It's just their experiences and their insecurities. Right. They're like, we have to protect you. We got to protect you. And I'm like, what are you protecting me from? Because what you forgot is that you had a child born and raised here. And I'm going to make my own mistakes, you know, and we talked about it earlier, our parents want to coddle us. Our parents want to do this. They want to do that. They want to be in control and make those decisions, even up until when you're getting married, you know, and sometimes.
You know, white folks, they get cut off at 18.
100%.
Like, you're not coming back to stay in my house. My mom would beg me to live with her right now.
You talk about white folks. My Black American friends. My Black American friends.
It's an American thing.
18, we out of here.
For sure.
Yes.
18, we out of here.
But technically, we're American. We're all first generation.
That's what I'm saying.
We all first generation, right?
But we don't count because we have a cultural background. We have an ethnic.
Exactly. They like immigrated here. You know what I mean? We're not American enough to be American.
Exactly. You know, we're always going to be the outliers because we're not good enough to be what's it called? Fully cultured, but we're not good enough to be American. We are the displaced. Exactly. Our children will make it make sense for us.
You know what?
Our children will make it make sense for us.
Yep. Look, Gen Z telling on everybody.
They are.
Gen Z is telling on everybody. Because I think that our generation, I think that we still have like those small remnants from our parents because we have shame. We have shame.
We did something wrong. We all did something wrong.
Straight up. Shame actually draws a limit for us. It does.
I hate that though because I feel like nothing like if I have kids like I hope like break the generation. Then I hope something you do is good enough for me and not everything you do is not good enough for me.
Because not me over here talking about is my mom gonna get mad at me?
No. Can you even? I feel me once in a while. I'll be like, well, my parents like that. I'm like, girl, why do you care? Right? Like, why do you care? Stop that. You have a whole husband at home. You have what? What are you talking about?
That's the only permission you look for.
Are your parents paying your bills? Why are you? No, I have to literally like tell myself and talk to myself and be like, no, Rece. Yeah. So like
that's that trauma that they instill.
And it's because we love them.
Yeah.
Yes.
We love them so much. And it's something about letting them down. Like, oh my gosh, y'all, if you understood when I hid changing my major, the conviction, the guilt that I felt.
Girl, I'm just appalled that you didn't tell them.
I didn't tell them. And you know how they found out?
How?
Because U of H.
Oh no, they
be sending letters to the
U of H.
They sent letters to the house.
Decided to send a letter to my parents' house to let them know. Oh, congratulations. You've been accepted into the Bible College of Business.
Yo, I've been like, I'm double majoring.
I'm double majoring. You met the requirements. You met this, you met that.
Girl, you done met with the advisor and everything without anything.
And you know the thing about it is.
You are brave.
Girl, I met with the advisor. I had already I did all the necessary courses. I mean, y'all, I was grinding one semester. Right. And so I didn't know U of H sends letters because I had got the letter via
you were so
U of H portal. I got the portal. Girl, I sent a whole letter to my parents. Just know, y'all, we had a whole intervention. Just know we had a whole intervention. My dad is over there. My mom is over there.
You in a corner?
So what did you do?
Why
did you do that? No, why did you do that?
Like you did the worst thing in the world.
What are you doing? What are you thinking? I can imagine that right now.
I was like, what?
So funny.
What did I do? So So you mean your mates are going to become doctors? I was like, wow. What are y'all talking? At first I was like, what are y'all talking about? I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Then my dad just switches out the letter. Just look at this. Read this. I want you to read it out loud.
It's the drama for me.
I want you to read it out loud.
Man.
I was like, whoa. I know they lying. I know they didn't send this letter to my house.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be, I was supposed to do this in secret. Yeah. I was supposed to do this in secret.
What were you
Plan just ruined.
What were you going to do when you graduated and you said you come into the business
Hey,
school?
man.
You can't hide that. You can't hide that.
Hey, man. I don't know. I was going to cross that bridge one day and figure it out.
Man.
But yo, I'm talking about the dramatics.
Yeah.
The intervention. You would think that I literally blew up something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was literally like, guys, I didn't drop out of school. I just changed my major. I don't want to hear it.
You let them down so fast.
You let them boys
Like,
down.
my dad, last, you must go back to that pharmacy degree. You must go back.
Oh, no. What'd you do? What'd you say? I ain't doing it.
I said, I'm not going back.
Uh-huh.
It's something in me just said, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't live here. I said, I don't live here. I live on campus.
Oh, bro.
I live on campus. I live on campus. I live on campus. Yeah, you're right. I don't live here. I can, and that time I had a car too. That's when I got my car on campus. I was like, I can just drive back to school. So, like, of course I cried all the way back to school.
You stood your ground.
I was like, yo, like, I literally stayed 10 toes, y'all.
You did.
Yeah.
I stayed 10 toes. That was one of the hardest things. And I laugh about it now. Because I was like 20 at the time, or 19. No, like, it's just hilarious. Because I'm like, I'm really not going to get no support in this house.
Because you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Yeah. That's another thing. So since you're the oldest, you had a lot more heat. Me, I'm the youngest. So I did the same thing. So I remember I was doing pre-med. Girl, was I partying my freshman year, my sophomore year? But my grades were not finna make it to no pre-med. Girl, so imagine this. I called my mom one day. I'm like, hey, I need to talk to you with Dad. Because I gotta tell them, I ain't know you, okay? I barely chose my interracial marriage. I got married at like damn near 30, 29, because I was no 10 toes down. I was still crying. Like, what you mean gonna cut me off? I still got my own house.
Don't cut me off.
I called my mom and I was like, look, I don't think this is gonna work. Monica, what you mean? Like, look, Ma, I got a lot of C's on my on my report card. And I'm like, look, I think I need to go to switch to business. And they gave me this is the most supportive they've ever been in my life. Well, beta, as long as you're happy, it's okay. I said,
at least you got that.
I was like, wait, what?
At least you got that.
I had to rehearse this and everything. I was so scared.
I didn't even have time to rehearse. It just threw me for a loop.
But it's because I'm the baby, though, right? Because my brother same thing. He did pre-farm, then he did engineering, and then he got all the like, what do you mean? Like, what, like, why?
Yeah.
But I'm the baby, so he had already messed up the system for me, so I got
and you're a girl.
Yeah, like, Bradley, hello, actor, he can do no wrong.
Hold on now. Because the thing is with Brad, Brad was supposed to go to medical school.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Brad is a math with very smart kid. And so we always said medical school. We always said medical school. Right. And he was studying for it. He had good enough grades to go into medical school. He was sending out MCAT scores and results to schools. He was saving up money and doing all his applications and everything like that. And then he was studying something and he was like, I don't want to go to medical school. I remember, I'll never forget, he called me and he was like, I don't want to go to medical school. And I was like, Brad, have you told your parents? Because I don't want it to happen to you. What happened to me? I got a whole letter in the mail. Somebody else told him. I didn't get to. And he was like, oh, I'm going to tell them myself.
Oh,
so
my man, brave.
You have, so yes, he has this conversation with my parents. You know, with something about Nigerian parents, it's either they flare off immediately or they have to process it. And then every day they will remind you about the mistakes that you're making. They will hold grudges.
Bro.
Look at him. He doesn't want to go to medical school. Imagine.
I
was like, and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, there's a lot of things to do in this world besides medical school.
Yeah.
This boy doesn't want to go to medical school. It's not by force. Like, it came to a point my parents would call me every day. You need to talk to your brother. Right. About what?
Like you.
I'm the one who opted out. I opted out.
I'm sorry.
Man.
I'm the one. Like what? It's not my problem.
Nah, straight up.
So it was one thing about saying I want to be an actor. It was another. I'm picking up my things and I'm moving to LA.
Oh God.
Ooh.
The day before, mind you, after my parents they were convinced to finally give him a going away party. Gave him a going away party, only for the day before Bradley's supposed to leave to LA.
Are you sure?
Knock on the door, Bradley. Are you sure you're going to this Los Angeles? This Los Angeles? Are you sure you're going to this Los Angeles? And Bradley was like, yeah, my car is already packed. Bradley didn't even want no flights. He didn't want no help from nobody.
Yeah.
He said he's not flying. He is taking his car, he's packing up his car, and he's driving.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Your car will stop.
Your car will stop.
Oh, it gets better. When he gets in the day that he was leaving, he left like around 5 a.m. He was leaving around 5 a.m. Brad gets in the car. He has on a red do-rag. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of research my dad did.
Bro, we about to say some wild shit.
My dog Sydney said, Bradley, you're wearing red do-rag. I read, there's Bloods and Crips in that place. There's Bloods and Crips in this place. Yo! Bradley was like, Daddy, can you get away from my door? He literally, Bradley, you're not right. He wasn't wrong. There is Bloods and Crips in this place. How can you? A Crip. I was like, Daddy, my dad called me at 6 a.m. I'm sleeping. Called me at 6 a.m. You need to talk to your brother. You need to talk to your brother. Your brother's wearing red do-rag. I was like,
what's the problem already?
Maybe. I was like, Daddy, like, what do you mean he's wearing red? He's going to that California. There's Bloods and Crips. I said, Daddy, you decided to do research right now when he's leaving?
No, bro.
I said, where is he? He left. I said, good. I said, I'm going to talk to you later because I'm still sleeping. You guys are very disrespectful in this house. All of you are very disrespectful in this house.
First of all, you answered at 6. I would have said, like, y'all can wait 2 more hours.
You know, my parents are older. I try to answer their call. When I wait, I see that call, I just answer.
See, that's the good thing about having 3 of y'all, though. If you don't answer, they call Crystal.
Crystal not going to answer. Crystal always busy. Crystal not going to answer. Crystal be like, she would text, I will call you back. That's Crystal all day. I'm going to answer. That's the oldest in me. That's just how I am.
You got to. That's
the oldest.
Yeah.
So, like, so I was, like, literally hearing him, and I'm like, oh, it's not about Bloods and Crips. You hurt. You don't have control over this child that is the baby.
Yeah.
This boy that you thought was going to become this doctor.
Yeah.
You don't have control anymore. Right. And so that's where my mercy comes in for them.
Right.
Is because they're like, man, this is somebody that I raised, I was around.
Yeah.
You know, I did the best with what I could and gave it to them.
Right.
And they're being taken away from me, not because they're getting married,
right.
but because they're choosing their
own.
They're choosing their
They're
own
choosing a path that wasn't the path that I wrote out for them. I literally wrote the whole path out for you, and you're going past the script.
Girl. Yeah. And it's just the fact that it's just like, I was like, Daddy, I think even like the next day he called me again, Lord Jesus, and was like, and he was like, why he didn't have to wear that do-rag. That's all I'm saying. That do-rag.
But 2 weeks ago, Daddy, you were just saying he didn't have to leave med school.
I was like, Daddy, Bradley always wears a do-rag. That's what boys do. That's what boys do. Yeah. There's people that ain't got no damn waves that wear
do-rag. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Straight up.
And he was just like, but it's only for nighttime.
Nah, father. Nah.
You don't wear do-rag, sir, to know what's for nighttime and daytime.
You don't know, man.
And so it was just like, I was just like, wow, it was, I felt for him. I had a thought, like I literally was like, wow, I need to be a little bit more empathetic because he's hurt.
Well, his baby, his last baby.
He's the last born. Yeah. And he's gone.
He's gone, exactly.
And the thing about it is, if you want to see him, you can always pick up the phone. You can FaceTime him. Yeah. He can fly back down.
They don't understand. They're just a little nicer to us. We want to talk to them. We want to hang out with them.
No, straight up.
I love it. But when y'all nagging at me,
it's not what's up.
I don't want to do
Matter of fact, I had that issue with my dad not too long ago. Because, man, bro. I'm
a red do-rag?
No, not the red do-rag. No.
You see?
Nah, while you playing, I used to have 2 satin do-rags. They was green and maroon, or burgundy, bro. Man.
The Los Santos.
No, they were velvet.
No, they were velvet. Bro, I was rocking them hoes, man. You know, looking real cool. But
and they were talking about, why'd you get that for him, Cynthia?
My dad.
Oh my gosh,
bro. And so on that same discussion about the path being paved out for you, right? Dad was like, I want you to look a certain way. You're a doctor now.
Oh my God.
Bro,
The way they bring up them titles, bro.
dog,
Yes.
right? Because Clarice, what you do in this lifetime is a definition of who you are.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Right.
Remember that. Because if you flip hamburgers, you're gonna be an hamburguesero. You're gonna be a hamburger guy for the rest of your life, and you ain't gonna be nothing else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, it ain't about that. I'm having to teach Dad individuality. I'm also having to teach him. I give him a lot of grace and mercy for this. I'm also having to teach him that frequency doesn't equate to the amount of love you receive from a person. He feels that if I see you and hear from you all the time, you must love me.
My father.
Right?
My father.
Now, imagine this. You know, the relationships that fathers and daughters have, very unique. Mother to son, very unique. Now, you would imagine that between father to son, it'd be alike. Like, hey, I feel you. I see what you're doing. Not my dad. And I love that man. But he really thought that the moment that Erin and I were going to move in, that it's a wrap. That I ain't going to leave that house. He ain't never going to see his son again, his doctor's son, the one that he professed to the whole community is doing
Why won't
AB.
he? Why won't he?
Why won't
A
he?
whole doctor.
Exactly. ¿Por qué no? Usted doctor. You got to be. All the time, bro. And I'm just like, partner. My name is not doctor of pharmacy.
Yeah.
It's Jeffrey. It's just
Jefe.
Jeff. It's Jefe. It's Jeffrito, whatever y'all used to call me at the house. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm still here. Ain't nothing changed about me. But I give my dad grace in that sense because why? He was his brother's keeper. This man was always around. And earlier when we talked about, you know, people being around or being in relationships that hurt them to the point where they had the middle name Endurance. My mom had to endure quite a few things with her brothers-in-law because my dad just decided to do what I said earlier about giving your heart to the world.
Nigerians all the time.
Right?
They send the money home to only God knows who.
I
Who's
hear
at
this
home?
a lot. Yeah.
Who y'all send the money to?
Right.
Bro.
Do they care about you? Trust me, if you don't eat, they don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
If you eat, they still don't care.
They still don't care, bro. And that's so wild to me. So I'm having to tell my dad, like, throughout the years that me and Erin are dating, in the beginning, like maybe the first 2 or 3 years, that I'm here. But you got to realize that I want to build a life with somebody else.
Oh my God.
Right? And I'm like, and I expected this from my mom.
Yeah. Some attachment issues. That's my baby.
Yeah, because, you know, I ain't gonna lie, man. You know, women, when y'all get jealous, oh boy.
Yeah.
Y'all wear that shit like makeup. It's on your face.
Everywhere. Head to toe.
We
Everywhere.
feel
Head
like
to
we have to
Your
be
toes will
prioritized.
scrunch.
That's right.
Straight up. And again, it's okay. I love that. Because for someone to not emote or just to be stoic, bro, there's a whole mystery behind it, and I ain't got no time to figure that shit out. You better tell
Me
you better
trying
tell
to figure Brian out. Brian is stone cold.
Nah, like, brother, you better tell me how you feel
Yeah.
right now. Because if you don't, you getting left. So that's the thing that I've been having to teach my dad for the longest time is like, it's okay to emote. It's okay to tell me how you feel about certain things. Because you'll do this with my mom. You'll do this with your brother who you talk big shit about all the time. To your daughter, to your son, to your son's friend. You know what I'm saying? But you won't, like, be open. Be open, you know what I'm saying? And realize that life is just much more than realize that life is much more than what it was constructed for you to be.
Yeah.
And on the way to the dealership today, my man talked to me about what? Peace of mind and freedom of mind.
Wow.
He said, Jeffrey, I love what you're doing with Erin. I feel the most free when I see both of y'all. And I was like,
I did not know
boy.
Let's give it up for Erin.
Yes! You gonna give it up for you?
Let's go.
Give it up for Dad. You know what I'm saying? We
And Dad.
But that's the thing, bro. Like, we wouldn't have gotten to this point unless I've given him grace.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Straight up. Because mom knows how to live life. She knows that Jeffrey's gonna cleave. She already knows that the moment that she has a good feeling about the person that he loves, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
But sometimes not everybody's on board.
Not everybody understands that you know what you're doing.
Exactly. Right. They don't understand just yet. And sometimes it'd be the ones closest to you.
So you gave him grace to understand.
Ones. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your dad sounds like a lot like my mother and your father.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, I love that I got to see that growth within them.
Yeah.
You know, because these are very hard things to accept.
Yeah.
Oh.
These are difficult truths to accept, you know, and again, I have to go back to how I felt when Erin and I first dated, because I really had it in my mind that there is a certain sect or group of people that I will not be around and that I will voluntarily refuse, right? Because they did me wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
But bro, when I tell you, how God uses the most unseeming of people, man, dog, I was like, bro, I don't know about y'all, but you know, the connection that we have with people today, you know, I feel it in a very different way. Whether it be a hug, handshake, or just even a simple eye contact, you know what I'm saying?
Because you have empathy.
Exactly. It's the part about being empathetic that you can actually feel stuff.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can feel when a person is having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's written. It's written
It's written.
somewhere on their body language. You can see it.
Straight up.
Or even their voice.
Straight up. But it's even harder to have that empathy towards a party that you're automatically biased to, which is who? Your family.
Yeah.
Oh my
so you give them grace, right?
Yeah.
Giving grace.
gosh.
And that's literally one of the things that, you know, you have to learn, especially when dealing with people that you're naturally biased towards.
Facts.
Yeah, because like for the longest time, you know, we all know a friend or two that has a sibling and or another friend that does wrong. They are so submerged in a particular vice, almost to the point that they encourage it. But they protect them.
Right.
But it's like, bro, you can't be doing that,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, you yourself, as an outsider looking in, you don't know.
Yeah.
That's why you got to give them grace.
Right.
In your example, yours too, them teaching you Tagalog, right? Or not wanting to, excuse me, and mine's.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very difficult thing to conceptualize when you're a young person. But then once you get older and you start realizing shit and you go through experiences in life, man.
God
Yeah.
bless our parents for
Right.
coming to this country
Bro,
and
amen.
having children.
Amen.
Because sometimes I'm like, I ask my mom, I'm like, well, I don't know why y'all frustrated. Y'all came here.
Yeah.
Y'all came here. And it was a blessing you have kids that actually have a mind of their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I do understand, and that's where my grace is also given, is that, you know, it's like, okay, even I told my mom, I was giving her the timeline kind of how when she came here as a 17 or 18-year-old. I was like, well, Mom, someone has always made your decisions. Your mom made the decision to send you here. Your dad said you must come here. You came here. My mom was a journalism major.
Wow.
She had she has a bachelor's in journalism. Never used it. You know why? Because she thought about her culture. She thought about how is that going to even create a life for me? And I have an accent.
She got in her head.
But you know what? When you don't have that community, or when you don't have that family that's here to push you and encourage you in a space that they have never experienced or understood, you're only going to get discouraged.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I couldn't even dream of that happening now. Like if I told you, hey, I want to do this, but I'm discouraged. You're like, go do what you need to go do.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we live in a
Nowadays it's
community
celebrated.
that you have people
And nowadays it's
pushing.
celebrated.
You have people pushing and shoving you to do something, and if they're not, you don't keep them around you.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And look at you. This is an example of journalism.
Oh, God.
Come on, dog.
She passed it down to you.
Come on, dog. Won't God do it, bro? Come on now. Come
I didn't even
on
think
now.
about that.
Yeah.
I did not think about that.
Bro, I'm telling you.
No, you know
You're
that's
living
so
your dream.
funny.
You're literally living your dream.
Yeah.
You know, I did not think about it like that. Wow, that's kind of deep. That's
full
kinda
circle
deep, man.
moment.
Don't be up in here trying to get me out. Don't be coming up in here.
Don't make the
doing all
host
that
cry
stuff.
now.
Like, honestly, guys, it's just so. I think it's our parents. Like, when I think about it, it took me a while to have grace for my parents, actually.
Yeah.
I always thought they were out to get me.
Yeah.
I always thought they were out to get me. And I mean, I was 20, I was 21, I was 19, you know, I was really, really young. And everything, I just felt like everything was like against me. Like, I'm like, do I have support? You know, I know that they love me, I think. I'm not sure how to discern if this is love or if this is this. I'm not sure. But like, you know, it's like I tell people that don't have ethnic backgrounds or culturally driven backgrounds is that it really costs to go against the grain.
Yes.
It does.
It does.
It costs, and you will only know the profit when you keep going.
Exactly. It's not for the weak.
No.
It's not.
No.
Yeah.
And even for myself, again, I keep bringing this up because it's very real for me. Like, I just still can't believe, and us sitting here just makes me remember how ugly of a mindset I really adopted at one point in my life, to think that I don't want to be around certain people because they wronged me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, how many times did Jesus get wronged?
Yeah.
You know, how many times did people who made a huge impact on the world get denied, rejected, ostracized, you name it? How many times? Countless. But that one time that there was an opportunity for them to love or to demonstrate something, that's the breakthrough moment.
Yeah.
That's the breakthrough moment. And again, like how you said, you don't really see the profit until you keep going. You know, like in the beginning when we were dating, bro, there was men and women alike who would come up to both of us and say nasty things about the other partner.
Even family members.
Family.
Oh, they're not exempt.
Even family members. Like, there was one time we were talking about, with a family member, we were talking about like what the future would look like, a lot of interracial dating and things like that, a lot of interracial kids. And they had said something along the lines of, I hope I'm not alive to see that. I'm like,
bro, and I ain't go front. When I
and I was like,
Because that's like, okay, so we know who we're not bringing our kid around.
right.
yeah, and I'm like, hold on, but you love living in the world. Why are you saying that? I'm like, partner, you tripping. Like,
They don't want to talk about it.
No, they don't. No.
But you know what the beauty of life is? You have that half, right? But then you also have the other half who's like, I can't wait to see what your kids look like. I can't see your final product.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta live to those moments, right? Because there's always gonna be some ugly in the world.
Yes.
There's always so much ugly in the
There
world.
has to
But
be.
it's changing slowly. Like, you know, like your dad, my mom, it's slowly but surely, we're a force to be reckoned with, because we're putting this right in their front face and say, you're gonna change whether you like it or not.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
You
You're
gotta
gonna
accept
change
it.
for the sake of love.
Yeah. No.
I say this too to some of my Nigerian friends, is that your parents are not going to disown you.
No, they never
gonna talk
will.
all this bull.
I would have called BS. I really thought I was disowned. Like, I really thought I was disowned.
Nah, hearing your story made me feel
I really,
that way.
like,
I was like, I saw her mom at the wedding. I saw her dad at the wedding.
No one could tell me otherwise. Like, no one could convince me otherwise. Even Brian, to a point, like, he gave up hope. Like, I'm like, it's not happening. His parents were the only ones who didn't give up hope. Like, no, they're gonna meet us. They're gonna meet us. And I'm like, y'all think that. I'm gonna let y'all think that.
Look, but that's the real thing, because I have a very loving family friend of mine, and we celebrated her and her husband. Her father didn't show up.
They be so egotistical. It's different when your mom shows up versus your dad shows up, because a
all
man can
ego.
hold his ego. A man can really compartmentalize his heart in that moment.
Yeah.
And he'll regret it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But when your mother does it, it's a different type of slap in the face, because it's like, it was like, where was your heart in this? Because you're supposed to be like, and I'm not even trying to play gender roles here, but it's very innate nature for a woman to feel differently for a child that they brought into this world.
Yes,
So it's kind of like,
That they bore and
if she hadn't showed up, we would have a very, very like unforgiving. Like, I'm not big on grudges at the state, but that's one thing I could not really forgive. And I think that's what a lot of people told her, that, like, you know, you're holding this little grudge, but you know you're gonna forgive her in like 2-3 months, and then you're gonna look back like, hey, I didn't show up to my daughter's wedding. Then how you gonna feel?
Right, it's intentional.
Yeah.
Hurtful, though. It was like intentional at that moment.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's intentional. So, you know, thinking about all these things, you know, and seeing like how going against the grain just makes us feel a certain way and makes us feel like it's impossible, and we question ourselves with every step that we take. Just lets us know that the reward is sweeter.
Yes.
One of my brothers told me this the other day when I was like really in like a funk. And he said, look, fam, every time that you have a challenge, every time that you have like just a small setback in this particular path that you're going through, right? Because the goal is to like do X, right? Just know that this makes you one step closer to the throne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One step closer.
Yes.
And even if you don't intentionally seek out challenges, because I don't know who does that, but if you do that, even then, you got to make sure it's the right challenge, right? Because loving a person should never feel like a chore.
No.
Jesus.
No, it never should. It never should. And some people are out here doing that purposely because it's like, I want to be different.
Yeah.
But they don't love the person. They just love the optics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like, man, I got to wake up and cook for this man today. I really don't want to. You should want to.
Exactly. You should want to. Like,
They don't
I
want to
told
have
you-
this conversation.
No.
Yo, and I told Erin this the other night. Where were we? I was at the J, huh?
I don't know.
No, when I said I want to go to the house, I remember.
I don't know.
I remember. I was at work and I had to like shop for a few things before I got home. And all I could think of was, man, I can't wait to see my dogs. I can't wait to see my baby dog.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Because, but bro, like it's just a sentiment. It's this feeling that I want to feel forever.
Yeah.
But I also know that it'll look different sometime in the future.
Yeah.
And even then, when that challenge comes, I'll be happy to take it on.
Because it's an empowering situation, right?
Yes.
Like what you do now sets you up for the future. Like, you know how you always say that you look back and you get so mad at yourself for being in a position of, I can't believe I really secluded myself from a group of people.
Yeah.
You had to have that moment.
I
Like
did.
you had to have that moment. And I know you're big on your Christianity and Jesus. From what I'm Hindu, so I mean, we went through like our Christianity counseling and stuff before marriage. But what I hear is that you get put through a lot of tests.
Oh, yeah.
And they
I was just
raise
reading about
you
that this morning.
you know,
Trials.
These are
Yep.
these trials and tribulations. They set you up to be what? A good parent. Like
Yeah.
you're going to be able to teach because you went through these things, and your child, so forth. It's going to be long list of teachings going forward.
No, for sure. I agree. 1,000%.
Definitely. And it's not even just about like going through the trials, but, you know, especially I was reading the book of James this morning and the book of Romans, and they pretty much all like kind of like some of those scriptures were like James 1:2, Romans 8:18. They were pretty much in connection talking about how it's not only just you going through the trials, but counting it pure joy that you're even being tested
Yeah.
through
Yes.
those type of trials and those tribulations, because not only are you able to share those experiences, but it all connects back to the source,
Yeah.
you know, because there's no way I would have got through this without him.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have got through this period of or this season without him. And, you know, it's, you know, especially as Nigerians, religion is like thrown at us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if you don't do this, it's because you don't honor your father and mother.
Yeah.
They're quick to throw out
Yeah.
one of the commandments at you, you know.
They
And
use it against you.
they use it
Yes.
against
Manipulation.
you.
A lot- so many
manipulate
people
you.
do
They
that,
weaponize
yeah.
it.
It's they
Yeah.
weaponize
That's
it. And
it.
I'm like, that's supposed to be loving.
Yes.
that is supposed to
Like
be
God
loving.
is supposed to. The religion is supposed to be your safe place, not your threatening place.
Right.
Yes.
And I see that so often in not just like, you know, Nigerian cultures. I see that in a lot of cultures
lot.
where it's
Yeah.
weaponized.
In
I see it in a lot of
Christianity,
Islamic cultures as well,
Yeah.
where it's just like, Allah won't forgive you, and I'm just like, who are
Because
you?
a lot
To
of
say,
times,
who are you to tell me that I won't
Yeah.
be forgiven? Because it's already happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Straight up.
Everybody
is burned.
sins. Everybody.
It's burned.
bro.
it's burned, no more to come again.
Right.
Literally,
Yeah.
it's
Like-
done. I guess this is it then in your eyes, right? Like,
right.
Because people make it like
But it's a good
it's an
thing you're not God.
ultimatum.
Right.
It's an
Yes.
ultimate, like if you don't do this, then this will happen, or you know, and it's almost as if like I feel like, okay, so are we going to hell, or are we like I don't know. It's weird, like, but I know growing up, like my dad would like sit down with us, like me, Crystal and Bradley. We had a time with my dad, a time. Okay, like we had a time. He was just a character, and he would like literally pull three of us and read Bible stories to us, and like try to instill the word the best way he can.
Yeah.
And it was honestly until we rededicated our lives to Christ
Yeah.
and actually practiced, you know, walking in faith and understanding the true meaning of what faith is, actually understanding the true meaning of hard seasons and trials and tribulations and all these things that were like, I think Dad misinterpreted that. okay, so we need to go back to our word and read.
Yeah.
So we need to go back and, okay, and we also need to get led too, because we can't feed ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Because that's another thing that people forget, like what our parents forget is that you are not our pastor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
These
my
are
mom
not
and
your
dad.
teachings.
You're,
Right.
but what you saying, I see what you're saying is, I see a verbatim in the word, but it don't match up.
The interpretation.
It doesn't match
Right.
up.
It
So
doesn't
now
match.
I need to go get led by someone who is actually a bit more educated than me when it comes to this, has a little bit more wisdom than I do.
Yes.
That way I'm able to learn and I'm able to teach that, because the thing about it is, a lot of people don't know, but even like growing up in these cultures, a lot of us become these atheists. A lot of us, we don't believe in nothing. We don't want to believe in nothing because
you're
of
scared.
because we're scared,
We're
because
scared,
someone
yeah.
has put this doctrine on us.
Yeah.
And
If
then
you don't
shoving it
worship
down
this,
our throat.
you will be like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And manipulated
Oh my
us
God.
into feeling like we can't have this relationship and we had to like do all these things, be the best of the best, and like never sin or never do any of these things to be close to God or even remotely considered. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Straight up.
I dated this guy before Brian. Oh my God, my very toxic, manipulative ex. He was Christian. It kind of scared me off to Christians after. I'm glad it didn't, because I would never be with my husband. He would literally tell me often, hey, you're going to go to hell. Well, why?
Oh,
I'm Hindu, by the way. This doesn't impact me much, you know? And I'm like, well, why? He's like, because you had premarital sex. And I'm scratching my head here like, so
The
where you
mic is
going?
not
So where
backing.
you going to go?
Where you going?
Where you going? Are we going to be there together? I'm just like,
It's a two of
like,
us.
but how can you put your finger,
It
like you don't
takes
got
two.
4 fingers pointing right back at you?
Man.
You know,
my
and
goodness.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you got people like that, like, really make it scary out here.
Like, oh Lord.
I was counting too.
No, like, but for real though, like, I feel like, you know, I love that my dad sat us down and had these Bible stories. What I do wish that he went in depth.
Yeah.
I think for him, it was just like, y'all are staying in the church. You can't go anywhere else.
I think that's very ethnic, though. They tell us what to do, but they don't tell us why we do it.
Yes.
Why? Yeah.
Why?
It's the same thing with marriage. They tell us you must be married because you can't be by yourself.
why?
You have to do this, you have to do that. But they don't tell us what it takes and to actually retain
Yeah.
a relationship. Some of our
Yeah.
parents don't even know how to be good friends. Talk less of being a good wife or husband.
Exactly. Just because you do the duty don't mean you like each other.
Right.
Bro.
Like I was raised, like at 7 years old, I learned how to cook and clean. What were my brothers doing? Chilling.
Chilling.
They didn't know how to
Girl.
do any of those things. And my mom tells me to this day, you were the one that I don't ever have to worry about. I'm like, because you poured everything into me. You forgot about them. Like, what about them?
That's
You know?
too, girl.
We-
That
they
is
put a
an
lot of
ethnic
emphasis.
trait. Like, they put everything into their daughter's hair. You know, because I don't have no hope with my son.
Like, you raised
That's
them.
But you know what?
Yes.
Oh my
Bro,
gosh. No, like seriously, like when I'm hearing some of like my mom's peers and like just that generation, they literally sit down and have powwows like this and talk about each other's sons.
Damn.
Like, and they know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I wonder why they're like that.
Ah.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just like they literally sit down and talk about each other's sons, about how, well, I don't know what he's going to do with his life. You know, I can't come and kill myself. Let them just go do them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow. Oh.
You know what's wild?
That's wild.
My mom, she's very open and free. If you ever meet her, you'll know.
She's so cool.
Boy, them Scorpios, they anyway.
Oh my gosh, she's a Scorpio.
Man, when I tell you the truth flows through this woman, I remember a long time ago, I was probably like 11 to 12 years old, the powwow thing. She comes back, she gives us a little gossip. Your little friend over there, he ain't doing too good in school. You need to stay away from him. She would always give me like these little tidbits, right?
Yeah.
And so I would think that I had an advantage over people because I knew this particular thing.
Because you had the
my
hacks to lie.
God.
Man, my mom
Yeah.
did that. She was never wrong.
No.
Actually, she was never wrong. But I'm gonna let you finish.
No,
I'm gonna let you
and
finish.
that's 100. But I had to think because I was like, I play basketball with you, bro. Like, you know, I think da-da-da about you. So I'm like, I don't really know now because now I know you fucking up in algebra. I don't really think we can be cool no more.
They embed something.
Yeah, they embed some things like, oh, you call your mom a bitch? Oh, sorry, bro, I can't be your friend no more.
Yeah.
But these were small things that mom would tell me about. Number one, to be politically correct in her platform. Like, my son doesn't do ABC. But of course, she doesn't take mega pride because she also takes the good with the bad. Because she knows that for as good as I am, I'm doing some bullshit in the shadows. Yeah, and you know, she wasn't wrong. But anyway. But you know, she knows these things. But also she told me so that I don't repeat the same mistakes.
Right.
You know, it's one thing for us to like put somebody out there and say, you fucking up. It's another thing to say, you fucking up, but I'm gonna teach you something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is part of the reason why a lot of my partners really adore my mom, is that she actually took the time to sit down with them and not necessarily correct them, but just to talk to them.
Yeah.
My dad did that.
Yeah.
Growing up, I saw my dad do that with a lot of our little cousins, some of even my guy friends. Like, they would literally come by the house,
Yes.
especially when I was a caterer.
Yeah.
And like, they would sit down and my dad would just have a conversation with them. And the way that they would feel so comfortable to share things with him that I'll be like, y'all told an African that? Are y'all sure?
Crazy, right?
And like, to them, my dad is like the coolest person ever to them.
Exactly.
You know, they were so comfortable to do that. And so I saw that growing up, which I thought was also a different dynamic. It was very weird. You know,
Because I don't know if you guys had that same comfort with your parents as your friends did.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't have that comfort.
I didn't either.
I barely started talking about other stuff. Like, to be very honest with you, my relationship with my mom significantly enhanced when I got married. That's when I felt like, I was like, okay, we have more to talk about, you know, because so often, especially in my 20s, my early 20s, and just graduating, everything that we discussed was simply about progress, accolades, education.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how to do stuff outside of those three things.
Right.
I know how to have fun. I like to travel.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I had a boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
I do, but
I just don't know how.
I just don't know how to do that and express that. And so that's why one of the things, like, fun fact about me, I've always wanted an older sister.
Cool.
I've always wanted an older sister. I've been the oldest all my damn life.
Yeah.
Like, not even just for two of my siblings, but my other cousins that grew up around me. Like, it's like too many of them.
Yeah.
To this day, they still call me from college. Oh, what do we do now, sis? Like, it's always like
you got the answers, but where's someone to answer your questions?
Right.
Exactly.
Man.
So to answer yours.
And sometimes I'm like, how did we make it through college? I think I just thugged it out.
Yeah.
I don't
But
even
that's
know.
why you felt comfortable making the decision of switching a major without having to tell anybody. Because you didn't have anyone to ask that question to. You had to just make the decision.
I was discouraged before I made the decision, if I'm being honest. I was already discouraged.
I mean, that's natural. But like in a little sister perspective, I'm the person asking questions. I'm the indecisive one. You might be discouraged, but you know at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to make the decision. You have to make a decision. You have to be decisive. You have to
I did that through tears.
Yeah.
What you mean? I made sure I went through the UH port. I was like, okay, we're gonna set up a whole we're gonna set up a meeting with my advisor. Okay, what is all the credentials I need? What is the GPA? What is the classes? I did all that stuff through tears.
Still did it.
And still did it.
And you still
Still
did
did
it.
it.
And still did it.
Still did it
Yeah.
without anyone's help.
Yeah.
And anyone's input.
And to me, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Even when what was supposed to be a happy time, I definitely felt like a disobedient child.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why am I'm holding this secret? It's not a secret.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
But when you're in a space where it's not culturally accepted,
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult to like express yourself.
Exactly. And part of the
Yeah.
reason why is because there is one weapon that our folks used to use that tried to shape us and mold us. Shame.
Shame on the family name.
It goes back to the shame.
It goes back to the shame.
Don't
man.
you wish though you could get like that little bit of? It's, of course, ethnic cultures. They were never going to get it. That one apology, like, "Hey, you were right." Like, "Hey, you switching your major, you were right. Look how successful you are today because all had to do was switch your major."
Bro, you got to die 30 times over before they say sorry.
First of all,
Man, please.
Exactly.
you know what's so funny? Me and Brad were having a conversation with my dad before Brad actually went to LA a few months before. And we were like, Dad, so can we just ask you, did you ever think that you were right by telling us what you told us? Because it was clearly wrong. Because we went this way and we turned out all right.
Yeah.
And he was like,
No.
I could never tell you anything wrong, so I don't know. I was like, Daddy. I was like, Daddy, no, like, I want to, let's rewind.
Right.
Remember this time when I changed my major?
Bro.
No, they will never.
I don't recall.
I don't remember. That wasn't me. It didn't happen.
No.
I was supportive.
Like, you can get sick. And when Jeff and I decided to move out, and this was premaritally.
Bro.
I come from a strict background. Like, my parents were strict.
How was that? Bro.
Like, to the point where I got sick. I got mega sick.
Yes,
And
it was the stress.
It was the stress that my mom was putting on both of us. She was like, I can't believe that you guys would do that to me or whatever. Like,
Not to me.
As if Jeff like abused her. Or something.
Exactly. And she was like, you're never gonna see your family again. You're just gonna disappear. Blah 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 blah.
The dramatics.
Bro, I'm
They
like,
watched too many soap operas back in the day.
All the younger wrestlers that my mom used to watch,
Absolutely.
and all my children
I was like,
in General
girl.
Hospital. I said, and it shows.
yes.
And it shows.
I'm like, who hurt you? Like, first of all, I talk to my brothers all the time. I have a good relationship with all my cousins and blah 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 blah. And then, like, I got really sick, like, to the point I had a stomach ulcer. Like, I was throwing up blood. Like, this is like TMI, but I was throwing up blood or whatever.
You see what y'all do to her? I just told y'all that. Like, I don't know if you're watching that. You see what y'all do to her?
Look at what y'all doing.
And
Look
she
at
knew
what
about
Just to
y'all
be
doing.
happy
You
with
got
us
my
now.
Don't shame
stomach
your
ulcers.
kids. Don't shame your kids, dog.
Right. So she knew about it and she was like, oh, are you okay though? Not one apology.
No.
Not one apology.
Bro, and I don't know
she
how
didn't
many
talk to
times.
me for months. And this was like around my birthday too.
Oh.
She did not talk to me. She was like, I'm gonna let Erin do her own thing because she thinks she's a grown woman. I was like, yes, I've been moved out 3 times before. Like, I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. But
us millennials need a lot of freaking therapy. These Gen Z kids that are about our kids, they're so lucky. They have it so made.
Yes.
Gen Z has a blessing.
Well, some of them ain't got no sense.
No.
Some of them ain't got no sense.
Because they don't have no struggle.
Because
We got struggle. We're the last ones to struggle.
right.
This also, we gotta thank them because it's also made us. We're not soft.
But
We're
you
not
know
soft.
what I appreciate about Gen Z is that they genuinely are so unapologetic.
Yes.
Oh, God.
They are so unapologetic. Sometimes they ain't got no sense, but they are so unapologetic and they want what they want and they're going to go get it.
Yes.
But they're also kind of lazy.
Kinda.
They're very lazy. I work with a lot of them. They're pretty lazy.
You take the good or the bad. They're
They're giving me my job security when I'm 50. They are kind of lazy.
No, they don't want to work.
They don't.
Nah,
If it ain't like
they want to work, but not
they want
your
to be
way.
creative.
Yeah, but not your way.
Not the traditional way.
And I really feel like that's the fault of technology.
Yeah.
It's grown so much to the point where it's like you have to do the minimal effort to get maximum output. Really, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But at the same time,
Automate.
exactly,
Right.
automated. But at the same time, one thing that I do love about them, like how y'all said, they denounce a lot. They're mostly anti-establishment because it's time to destroy and rebuild.
Yeah.
A smart man destroys and rebuilds because you already know that the thing that you build can't carry you forever. Like, we just had that discussion about the car. A Camry will last you.
Yeah.
100%.
But is it
100
infinite?
years.
For 100 years. But
A lifetime, yeah.
But a lifetime, right? But lifetime lasts how long? 100 years, maybe, right? Might. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, But that's the point, is that some of these things are finite and they have to be rebuilt over some time. And that's why you have to actively, of course, in your choice and whatever it is that you want to do, go against the grain.
Yeah.
You have to. Because how can you ever expect innovation or change to come about if you don't already challenge the norm?
Right.
First of all, you think about it in the Bible. How many people went against the grain?
Bruh.
How many people, I studied 2nd Kings last year, a year or something ago. And I was reading about Elijah and Elisha. Elijah literally found Elisha. Elisha's a young boy, probably a teenager. He was literally tending to his garden or whatever he was doing at his parents' house, dropped his rake. Elijah was like, come follow me. Dropped his rake and he followed him. He kissed his mama goodbye. That's what it says. And he walked away. Nope, it doesn't say in the text if his mama was crying, if she was like, nah, baby, come back, please.
Baby, please.
It didn't say any of that. He literally just took his stuff and went, and he walked right behind him. You're going to always go against the grain. Abraham got up and walked away.
That story.
He said, leave what you know Leave what you grew up with. Leave everything.
Yeah.
And follow me.
Yeah.
And I need you to head to this land over here.
Yeah.
Moses.
Yes.
Joshua.
Yes.
Like, it's so many people that had to go against the grain just to do what they were called to do.
Exactly.
So, yes, mom and dad, I love you. But at the same time, you know, you didn't call me to do this.
Yeah.
Nah.
You know, I love you, but you're not my source.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it is a blessing to have parents, first of all.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things on this couch that I know is that we all have parents that love us.
And
Yes.
care.
And they care.
They care. That's
They
why they
care.
want to add their
They
damn
care.
input so
And they
often.
care.
That's why they
Man.
always add their 2 cents
Yeah.
that was definitely not asked
Not
for.
asked
It's unsolicited advice is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that I appreciate that somebody actually calls me and cares. My dad is in Nigeria right now and will call me and be like, what's going on? And I'll be like, I thought you were enjoying Nigeria. Aren't you on vacation? Yeah, I can't see how my home is doing. I'm like, oh, we're fine. Everything is going well. My mom will call me. Hey, I just want to see if you're all right. And I'll be like, aren't you at work? And I always have to like stop myself and be like, please take care.
It's your little backhanded comment.
Like,
hey, thanks for calling, mom.
Like,
Right?
and you know, and I can be so slick with it.
Yeah.
I can be snarky. I can respond but I'll be like, you know what? I am grateful to have parents that actually will pick up the phone and make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like
that wanted to, you know.
that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. And not only just me, my husband too.
Yeah.
The way they love him like their own son, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
know?
so cool.
And it is just something that, like, it's truly a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I appreciate our backgrounds for, you know, just the family orientation, things like that. You know, but I am also at a place, I don't know how y'all feel about this, is that, because I know we're sharing all these experiences, but I'm at a place too where I at least, was it last year, a year and a half ago, I had to learn how to stop blaming them. I had to learn how to stop blaming them for the things that they couldn't teach me.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know.
Right.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times too, when I was like thinking back when I was growing up, is that my mom would pour from an empty cup all the time. And you can't do that. At least for me, I know I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they feel like they had to, because they're like, look, we got a family, we got to raise, we got to do this, we got to do that. Everything was for us.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I'm like, you know what? Okay, that's my grace. You know, but I am teaching my mom now. Like, my mom just came back from Ireland, child. Like, she can't tell her nothing.
Wow.
And she just came back on vacation, and it makes me so happy, and it's beautiful to watch her enjoy herself now, you know? And I tell her all the time, you know, I love that you're enjoying yourself, but I'm not starting late. I started that in my teens.
Yeah.
I started that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Even if I had to sneak behind your back and do it.
Yeah.
I started it a long time ago. I was
Right.
having fun.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it is a blessing to have parents.
Right.
It is a blessing to have these parents from different types of backgrounds and cultures. And I think that it's amazing that we have front row seats to their journey, because it also teaches us what we don't want to take with our
Yeah.
next
Yes.
generation. But it
Yes.
also, there are some things that I want to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some things that I do want to keep.
Sometimes we have to remember also that this is our parents' first time living too.
Yeah.
There was no manual for how they should raise us or whatever. Coming
And
into
They were
still
raised with
not.
iron
That
fist.
part.
Still
and
not.
coming into a completely different culture and
Yeah.
leaving their own. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know.
See,
we
they
have to give
took
them
their
that grace.
parents and they followed exactly what they did.
Yeah.
We take our parents and we take the things we want, but we also leave the things we don't want behind. We're
Right.
breaking it,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know at what point that became the norm, but I'm proud of us for that.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Like
Straight up.
they definitely took and they followed.
Yeah.
We detached. We
Yeah.
became a little more detachable. But no, you're absolutely right. There are things I absolutely want to take from her. I want to be just as nurturing as my mother was to me. As
Oh my
I pray to
God.
God I'm that type of mother to my kids.
Yeah.
My mom was probably too nurturing.
Yeah.
To where it was like we were like suffocated. Like, I'll be like, Mom, okay. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm around my mom. Did you eat today? Oh my God, let me go downstairs real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ahead and do this. To this day.
My mom be
you
trying
know?
to send me DoorDashes and Uber Eats. And I'm like, Mom, I have a whole fridge full of food. She's like, okay, but just let me send you food too so you don't have to cook. And I'm like, I'm a 30-year-old woman.
They
I'm
don't.
okay.
You're still a baby.
Sure.
You're still
They
their
have to make
baby.
sure you're okay.
They gotta make
They have
sure.
to make sure, and they know that they're not necessarily paying your bills or doing all these things. They know that, but it's just something about that's my child.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we won't understand until we're parents.
Yeah.
But they
You know.
also want to feel like they're needed too.
Yeah.
by us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big
Yes.
part. That's a big part
Yes.
of it.
They can't let that part go because
Yes.
we've needed them from what? From 0 to whatever.
Mm-hmm,
You know? And
Yeah.
for us to be on our own in our 30s and doing our own thing, they don't want to feel like they got left behind.
I still need my mama.
You know?
Yeah. No.
No,
that's-
no, no,
I
yeah.
always
ain't
need
gonna
her. I
hold
still
you.
call her like, how do I make this? Like, I forgot how
Nah,
to do this.
that's mega
No.
facts. I also think,
Yeah.
you know, that part that Erin was saying about your parents needing you, I think that is very real, especially for number one, independent women and men to their fathers and mothers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they raised you in the right way. And it's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, hey, bro, don't forget me, dog. Like,
Yeah.
I know you big, you doing your own
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
but don't forget me.
Yeah.
Don't forget me. And I think that's very big because we can easily forget people.
What you mean? This generation, we don't call nobody.
No.
We don't check up on
Right.
nobody.
No.
We don't do that, and that's something that my parents can't stand it.
Yeah.
Especially my dad. My dad would tell me, "You mean to tell me you guys have a father that's alive and y'all haven't called me in 4 days?"
God.
And I'm like,
Or you didn't call your 20 aunts and uncles for New Year's and Christmas.
"Oh my god, you didn't tell
Because I
your
texted instead.
20, man.
oh girl,
Right.
when I got married, I got it the worst. You didn't tell your cousin that you were engaged," and I was like, "I don't talk to that cousin."
Yeah. If they want to see us on social media, though.
Dog, we
Right.
we
Like,
right
we met them
there.
I'll
one
let y'all know
time.
through
I
social
don't
media.
talk to them.
Bro, we are right there at this
We
point in
don't
time.
have a relationship, Mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should be building relationships. I'm like, should I?
At this
It's
age,
a two-way street. They didn't build it with me
you're not
either.
as fine.
You can pick up the phone and call me.
And call me too.
Because
yeah.
I told my mom, guess what? They know I got engaged.
Yeah.
That's why they called you.
yeah.
So
Messy. They could have
Exactly.
called you to say,
Yeah, they didn't call me. They called you.
yeah.
they called you so they know.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's not
Straight
like,
up.
oh, I didn't know. No, you knew. You
knew.
knew. That's
You
why
knew.
you called.
Exactly.
Straight
It's
up.
just so weird. And
It's
so
just you're
like,
just mad that I didn't call you.
Yes.
and you know that's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
things.
that's really what it is.
But you know
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we
always-
don't always agree on.
Yeah.
Me and my parents is that the way they grew up, the whole family got to know something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
And they have to hear it through your
community-based
mouth.
thing. They have to hear it through your
Yeah.
mouth, or they won't believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, bye boo. First of all, it's not. It is not even your. How can I put it? For me,
Not
I don't
intentional.
feel the need to create forced relationships at this age. I truly feel like, I'm at a place where I love the community that I've created or that has been given to me. And those that want to be in it, please feel free to come in. But I'm also not going to I'm not going to pull
It's
teeth.
also your
Yeah.
day.
Bring
People
you in
should,
here.
and I am a strong believer, if it's your, they should be reaching out to you to congratulate. Why do I have to go out of my way
To say,
hey, I'm engaged?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
beg you for congrats.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
Like,
that's-
where do you
And
go
what-
from there?
yeah.
Like, what more from...
Okay, I got married. Everybody, it's word of mouth. They used to spread messages with pigeons.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know you're engaged.
Pigeons.
Yes.
You know?
You better hope it landed in the right spot
Somebody
too.
reposted my post, you know what I mean? Like,
Come on.
They
you're gonna
know.
know.
Come on.
Like, my mom's gonna repost this, so
Straight
everyone in the
up.
Philippines is gonna find out that we engaged.
They will.
Insane.
They will be okay. And the thing about it is, like I tell my mom, if they cared enough, they would just text me, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
That's all. But they didn't care. They cared to be petty. They cared to be messy. They cared to
It's
jab.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
why do we have to something that me and my parents don't agree on all the time is that everything is community based. Everybody has to know. If there's a problem, we all have to pitch in. No, you don't. There are some battles
Yeah.
that are best fought inside of someone else's
Yeah.
home with those
Right.
people.
Can it
Let them
private?
figure it out. Can it be private?
Can it be private? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everything needs to be brought to the public.
Yeah.
That this generation now, everything is posted.
Yeah.
We're exposing people.
Yes.
And it's just like, why do we don't have to do that.
Right.
Nah, we don't. And that's something that I had to unlearn as well, because I remember thinking that I had to absolve the problems of family, the immediate family.
Yeah.
And Erin was telling me, like, look, is your name? No, it's not.
Erin,
So it ain't your
I
problem.
just
Yeah,
love
yeah.
you, sis, because let me tell you, I'm so glad that you told Jeff that, because for a long time, I feel Jeff. That was me. That was me. Because I always felt like, well, I need to make sure that I just dissolve the whole problem.
Right.
Who gave me that job?
Right.
I gave me that job.
Right.
Nobody, and now I'm wondering why I'm mad at my mom for making me do something because I volunteered myself.
Exactly.
Nobody asked for my help.
Right.
And now that you've made, you know, when you make yourself so present sometimes and you make yourself so available, you forget who you are. You get so engulfed with other people that you don't even take the time to spend time with yourself, date yourself, study yourself. And we wonder why we have failed relationships now.
Bro.
Because we're so consumed with over there and not over here.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
like
what
staying
I
in
was
your
going
lane,
through,
minding your own business.
Yeah.
Like, I felt the same way. Like, for, you know, everyone always thinks I'm the older sister or the oldest one between the three of us or whatever, because I'm always taking care of my brothers, always taking care of my family. And I learned that lesson the hardest way, you know what I mean? I was like, I have to choose me first, because at this point, it's affecting my physical health and my mental health. And like, I can't see outside.
You're tired.
Else.
You're exhausted.
Exactly. And I was like, it's not my responsibility.
Exercising the word no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Creating that
Boundaries.
boundary.
Creating that boundary. And that's something that Erin and I have really cultivated between us, and that I put as a priority, is to use your voice. Because
he taught me that.
Yeah.
He taught me how to use my voice.
That's that part of the timeline where I was cut off was the most peaceful time of my life. I didn't even have to say no. I didn't have to say no.
I don't have to answer to nobody.
I didn't have to answer nobody. And my husband barely asked questions.
It's just something about saying no. Like, no.
I planned my whole wedding the way I wanted my wedding to be planned. Think about that.
It should be that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's only because there was a cutoff.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know, sometimes those are blessings in disguise.
Yes. Exactly.
Sometimes they're blessings in disguise, and sometimes our parents will not understand no until we react.
Yeah.
Right.
Until you snap, and then their feelings are hurt.
Their feelings are hurt, and instead of them to say, "Hey, you hurt my feelings," all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
You're the worst daughter in the world.
Suddenly, you are disobedient. You are the bad child.
You've
are
never
the
done a
bad
single
egg.
thing for me.
You are just so selfish.
Man.
Selfish.
Yes.
Selfish.
Right. Like, I sacrificed how much of my life for y'all?
What?
That's
It took care of you
You
were
forgot?
the older sister.
Bro.
That's right. To the point where everyone thought I was the older sister. To the point where I had to sacrifice school.
Where do you fall in the age group of your?
I'm the middle child.
You're the middle? That's crazier. How many of y'all is there?
Two brothers.
And you never hear about the middle child being the oldest. The middle child is the middle child.
Yeah.
I have cousins now that are like, I forget that you're not the oldest one. I'm like,
It be like, man,
You are pretty mature. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
either because you
You're
were very
calm,
available growing up.
collected,
Clearly.
You seem very grounded.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy to me, because it's like, yo, you're very firm in some things, but then when you tell me about stuff in private, it's like you don't have that confidence. I was like, baby, use your voice.
Because she's giving you her emotional guard down version.
Yeah.
She's maintaining a front for her family, but you get the real, authentic, raw version.
No, and of course, and that's something that I learned too, is that how we are in private ain't the same way that we are in public. Because Latinos, we the same fucking way. On Christmas, Monday, 4th of July. I ain't changing. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to cuss.
We naturally loud.
Yeah, naturally. But see, that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Same.
Right. But again, you know, that's what we talked about, weaponizing shame and how it's supposed to mold you into a certain way, almost to the point where you put your own plans on hold.
Yes.
You mute your own voice, which I think is the most...
You drop everything.
Yeah, exactly. You drop everything. And I'm like, bro, that's not cool. Because I told her, I'm like, I love you and you're mine. She has such a creative mind. And I'm like, yo, I want you to do this, that, and the third. But express yourself. Tell me I ain't say that.
no, you have.
See,
and I learned that from you.
I said, look, if there's one thing in this life that I want you to do with me, is to express yourself. I don't care if you ain't got no money, you can't cook, this, that, and the third, but you better do those things. But you still have to express yourself.
You don't hide it.
All right?
Yes, come on, Hefe.
No, but real talk though. It's about expression because, like how you said earlier, when people sit on this couch, some of them have been under a veil or probably behind a curtain for a very long time.
Right.
And this is now the platform that they got to express themselves.
Yes.
And that's what I told her. I'm like, look, in our world that we got between you and I, which is practically everywhere we go, express yourself.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that my dad taught me this, and I've been quoting my dad this whole damn time. I love this man. He said, the one thing that you should never do to yourself is mute. don't ever keep quiet.
My mama told me that to this day.
Yeah, don't ever keep quiet because if there's something that you really want to do and you don't do it, the regret will kill you. And then you take it out on other people.
Yeah. You snap.
And whether it be
And
through...
your mom taught you this or your dad?
Dad did.
Oh, okay.
Mom taught me that as well. But Dad
That's a
taught...
Scorpio energy thing right there.
Yeah, and listen, and Dad's a Virgo, and you know them boys is, okay, they want it this way and no other way.
Yeah.
But having learned that from them two people that are very strong and firm in their beliefs and all this other jazz, just let me know that people who don't express themselves are doing themselves a disservice. Wow. And that's something that I cannot allow for a friend, a lover, even an acquaintance. You know what I'm saying? Or even somebody that I work with. I'm like, look, if you're not feeling the working conditions, you better let me know because I'm going to keep it pushing. All right?
But you know, Jeff, like, I think that's so beautiful that you gave Erin that space to do that because growing up, like, we weren't taught that. No. We were not given that. We weren't allowed to speak up, you know? And people ask me all the time, even friends now, they're like, why are you so bold? How do you get to do whatever you want. You get to say, I'm like, who told you I get to do whatever I want? I had to learn how to do that.
You had to learn.
I had to learn how to speak up. I had to learn that. And that's why I say nothing is wasted. I thank God for corporate America. I thank God for corporate America. It took one time for somebody in corporate America to call me stupid.
And
my very first job, I'm a young 22-year-old, very first job out of U of H. I'm working for an engineering company. My boss's wife calls me stupid.
Your boss's wife?
Not even my boss.
It was your wife?
And I never told my boss.
Oh, okay.
I never told my boss because I like my boss. And in a 22-year-old's mind, you're like, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to start any trouble. His wife is the accountant. And it was a private company. His wife is the accountant. And she's the first person you see when you walk into the office. Just respect her. That lady old enough to be your granny.
Yeah.
Now, 30-some-year-old Clarice. I want you to call me stupid. Yeah. I want to see you try.
Right.
Yeah.
But like field day with HR.
Field day with HR.
Not even HR and Clarice. I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't gonna hold you. But like, I was a 22-year-old in corporate America. Yeah. And somebody called me stupid. Yeah. And I didn't know how to open up my mouth and say, did she and speak up for myself. Because again, I'm like, I gotta keep my job. So even before that though, I'm a 1st-Gen kid. I'm young, I'm whatever. I'm the oldest of 3. I'm told this is the credentials you need to have in order to continue to stay a good daughter, a good kid, to be a good wife. I'm told all these things based on somebody else's values. I never really knew, how to navigate that part in my younger days. So when I was 22 and I was called stupid, I was like, okay. Yeah. I don't think I'm stupid. Right. I know I'm not stupid.
Right.
That's so common.
It was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Getting bullied at a young age in corporate America is so common.
It's a common thing.
And I totally agree with that second part where it's like, 30-year-old me would never.
Would never.
But I
what? What?
But I was so scared at that point because I'm like, am I ever going to snap out of this like walkover stage?
Girl, bye.
It's real. And then you grow up and you're like, you need me, I don't need you.
Right.
And
I got credentials.
It's crazy because I'm like, I have a resume, a stellar one.
Stellar. I've seen that resume.
I have a stellar resume.
It's killer.
And I'm like, and I have accomplished wonderful and amazing things in my life that my mom coming to this country was like, I would have never done for myself. So like, or a lot of my peers probably have never even done before, and I'm grateful, I'm thankful. And it's like, to know that I didn't have that voice and that spunk, that boldness that I have today then when I was 22 or when I was 13 or even younger, it's just like crazy. It's just like, it makes me think, I'm like, I'm going to have a daughter one day that's going to be like, well, Mom, how do I stand up for myself? It's literally a non-negotiable in my house.
Yeah.
It's a
you speak up.
non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You have to speak up. Because if you don't, you have now allowed somebody to tell you who you are.
Right.
Yes. That was my exact reasoning for saying that to Erin. And I'm like, no, because you come from a background where they could use shame as a weapon. And the way I grew up, yeah, they gonna shame you on some shit, but you still gonna do what you want to do,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing, man. It's like we have to have that.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I love to use this parable that I created about a garden that we have, right? The thing is, it starts with the soil. Just like with everything, it starts with the foundation. If you ain't got a good one, it don't work.
No.
If you have,
Breaks.
and the thing is, man, like with the garden, you got to have quite a few things. You have to have a source of fertilization, right? Your nitrogen source, and quite a few other things in order for that soil to be rich. Because if it's not, and you just using regular ass dirt, you're not gonna get shit. You're not. All your crops are gonna die. But when it's rich, bro, you can throw a seed anywhere and that hoe would be fruitful.
Yeah.
Anywhere and
That's
it would
just
be
thinking.
fruitful.
Man, that like y'all, this conversation is just so it's making me so full right now because
Cool.
the fact that like we are coming from 4 different backgrounds.
Yes.
It's either similar, but there's some differences that I'm like jaw dropping and I'm like, what? How? Like it's just I just love to hear it. I love the fact that we can be able to embrace everyone's background and still be able to say, wow, okay, that's amazing. I never thought about it this way or things like that. And the respect that is on this couch right now, even if it wasn't our experience, the respect, I'm loving it so much.
I'm learning so much. I feel like I'm
learning
going through a therapy session.
I literally learned like a whole lot.
I'm getting some healing here.
I gotta go home and be like, oh, I gotta tell this to my husband. Oh my God, I gotta go home and tell my mom this. Like, Mom, can you believe that this and this can happen? Like, and I cannot wait to share this. I cannot wait. And you know, y'all, we can keep even going, but like I have to ask you before we even like conclude this, while we conclude this, is that you went viral on TikTok. I literally woke up and you went viral on TikTok. Not just because you had a beautiful Indian and Nigerian wedding, but you went viral because of some of the wrong reasons.
Terrible reasons.
Not
because of me. I did nothing wrong.
She did nothing. It was her audience.
My audience.
Because of, again, going against the grain. How you're literally paying a huge cost when you do that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So Brian is something that we've always been a little private on social media. And then once, my family started coming around, I started posting it more. So, I was like, you know what? I want to post more on TikTok because that's like where you can get, you can let your story be heard. Like there's so many people like you out there that need to see, hey, it's okay to marry outside your race. And that's what I was kind of do. So I was posting some of my wedding videos. They got like 2.6 million views, 3.6 million views. Like I got a few of those, right? Yeah. Overnight, I blinked. And that, I always tell them, I don't think I'm one of those people who could be famous because I'll actually read those comments. Yeah. Boy, were those comments hurtful.
Wow.
They were hurtful to me, not because they were attacking me, but because they were attacking him. And Brian's one of those people, sticks and stones. Yeah. You can't say shit to him to hurt his feelings. You can't. That man is he's a very confident, secure man. Like even, you gotta be. It comes with the territory.
Right.
But they would say, it was very like to the point where it's like, oh, she married him for a green card. Literally, she went to the slave field to marry him. Like, those are just some of the lighter ones. There's to a point that people got so bad that they started speaking in different languages, so they wouldn't get reported. Right. But like, it was like 800, 900 comments of like stuff like that. But it's like, again, and I go back, 50% of it was good. You have like these like fan base who are like backing me up, who are like, what do you know like about them? They look like they're in love. They look like a beautiful couple. They're gonna have great kids. Some people are go so dark to like, I hope you don't bring kids into this world. Like dark, okay? And that's why I'm like, I'm like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? I take like breaks, and she was telling me like she has someone handle it for her because social media can be such a dark place. People get so mean. Like we see Cardi B go through it. We see everybody get bullied on there, and you really can't pay any of it any mind. But like I said, for me, I can handle it. I know he can handle it, but it hurts when someone has something like that about like that to say about your loved one. Yes, because it's like what? Like especially in like your mother probably should have swallowed you because who gave you the audacity to say something like this? Crazy. Like And so it's like, yeah, 50% of it was for great reasons. You have people talking about, so many women have reached out to me about, hey, I'm in the same situation as you. Like, I'm dating a Black guy. I don't know how to tell my parents. I'm like, girl, just do it. Like, I've sent essays to strangers. And like, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, forget what the negative people have to say. I'm going to tell my story. There's people out there who deserve to be loved. There's people like us. They don't have a couch. They don't have the comfort of the couch to discuss.
No.
And they're hiding between the same like revelations that I was, where I'm like, oh, they're going to cut me off for real. They're really never going to talk to me again, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to do it for them. But it's like those comments were so disgusting. And I'm like, I kept posting. It's cool. It is what it is. But you really got to understand that these people are hiding behind a keyboard. Like, they wouldn't have to be crossed, like, saying any of that in front of you.
No
one would. No one would.
No,
but it's just crazy how much racism is still alive.
Oof.
It's
You know?
That's why, like, sometimes, like literally, I woke up and you went viral. Like, I was like, she got millions of views. What happened? Like, you know, and I'm like, oh, she's posting her wedding pictures.
Yeah.
And then when you're seeing it on your feed now, and you're seeing the hateful comments, I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I was like, I was there.
Yeah.
And there was nothing hateful about the ceremony.
Right.
I was there.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, what did y'all see? Because I know none of y'all came to the wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I know that.
wild.
I know you weren't there.
Yeah.
You didn't witness this. So, you know, I'm reading that and I'm like, I noticed the majority of them were Indian.
Yeah. So that's what the crazy thing is, right? And it's like,
Whoa.
yeah, no, the majority, so that's not talked about a lot, right? The Indian community is they're very colorism. Like, they see colorism to the fullest.
Man,
And they
Latinos
see it
too.
like to the point, like, even us as women growing up, when I grew up, it's like, hey, Monica, stay out of the sun.
Same.
You know, you're gonna get too dark.
Mm.
When you get married, when they start talking about so-and-so's daughter, so-and-so's son, too dark, can't marry him, even in the Indian community. So colorism is a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And you grow up and you're like, there's brands, like there's this brand called Fair and Lovely that got sued because of their depiction on beauty. Like, the fairer complexion, the prettier you are.
Right. Yeah. And it
And
goes
it's interesting.
to the Philippines too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think the regions that all of us are from collectively practice colorism to some degree.
100%.
It's just
100.
disgusting.
What?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's
Like,
wild.
For me, when I was younger, I would play outside a lot, and my mom would be like, "Don't play outside.
Yeah.
You're gonna get dark.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to marry you."
Yeah.
They would give me lightning soap, and I'm
Turmeric. Turmeric and yogurt is what we bathed in.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, light-skinned
Yeah.
women, fair-skinned women are like honored more than the
Yeah.
dark-skinned women. So I felt like terrible when I was seeing some of that because I was like, I've met Indians in my career who are much darker than
you.
me.
Darker
Yes.
than you.
Who are much darker than
you.
me.
Oh, but they get the backlash too. They would
Yo.
would never want us to marry their sons.
Yo, and they have the most beautiful skin in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
They do. They are beautiful people.
It's just skin, and that's what I'm just like, who embedded this to you? Like,
Bro,
wait,
that's
what do
what-
you see this? You know, I hate to say this. When I told you there's some things I had to learn, that was something I had to unlearn. Because guess why? I'm not gonna have a daughter or a son that's the same skin tone as me. There's no way that my child is gonna be lighter complected than me.
No.
So in order for that, like for me to move forward with having children, I had to unlearn that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's embedded. If I tell you there's that they're not even values. These ideologies aren't embedded,
Yeah.
and you have to pull them out. It's a thing.
No, it's a
You
thing.
know, it's a thing. Like, I can't say that there aren't people in my community who wonder what are my kids going to look like,
Yeah.
as if it's their business.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I can't wonder that. Hey, like things I even think about now, like police brutality. Like, I got to think about these things. Like, I'm gonna have a kid that's,
Lord Jesus.
you know,
Yes,
there's
who
so
are
many things
subject
you
to
have to
that.
think about.
I will say though, as a man of a darker complexion, my experience with colorism, at first, it was a facade. Then I realized what the shit really was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You're pretty for a black woman. You heard bullshit like that all through your life.
Of course.
Right.
Whatever happened to tall, dark, and handsome?
Right.
Somebody
No,
made that up,
because-
and how come it never flowed?
No, because tall, dark, and handsome, you know, it was a widely used phrase. And this is my opinion, by the way. Widely used phrase, but it was only for a certain sect of people because
them
you had to.
pale vampires?
Dark, yeah, because dark in this case meant someone who was just a tinge of orange.
Yeah. Who
Tinge.
sat on the sun just a good amount.
Yeah, just long enough.
He
not,
baked
yeah,
for 15 minutes.
exactly. Just long enough to still look like, you know, medium rare steak.
Yeah. And overcooked chicken.
Go chicken. But you know, growing up, I used to hear a lot like, you know, oh, you're so handsome for a dark cat. You know, you're beautiful, negrito, whatever. Like, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
then I would hear the back comments. Exactly.
But.
But whatever the fuck, right? Whatever followed after the conjunction was bullshit. So I knew that that whole statement that you said to me was bullshit. Then I get older and it would be like, you know what? You'd have some pretty babies if you married someone who was
a little light complex.
Exactly. So I'm like, bro, like why are you doing that shit? And even today, I'm still getting that. And some people think that it's intentional. And I'm like, all right, now I know we're going to cut this off today. Yeah. Me and you, we ain't cool.
Because what even made you comfortable enough to say something like that to me?
That's what I'm saying. Yes. What would make you comfortable enough to say I was just talking about that with one of my partners. And I was just like, man, you know what, bro? I got so much dirt on you. I could literally plot out your tomb, put your coffin in there, put you in there, put some more dirt, redig you again. Because that's how much dirt I got on you. But again, even then, knowing all this stuff, I still give grace.
Yeah, wow. You still give grace. But, and you know, it is bothersome. It's still bothersome when people are like, oh, your kids are going to be so beautiful. I know they are.
Yeah.
But is it because they're mixed? Things that you have to point that out?
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, your kid's going to be beautiful. Is it because you married in the same culture? No. Like, but I don't feel a need to tell you that your kid's going to be beautiful because your kid's going to be whatever you think your kid's going to be.
Exactly. Yes.
You know?
I love that you said that's what's up. That's what's up. It's just about recognizing what you are.
Because I didn't ask you to tell me my kid's going to be beautiful because because it's a baby. All babies are beautiful. Right. Life is beautiful, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Obviously, my kid's going to be beautiful. Thank you.
No, for sure, for sure.
You know?
We have this saying in Colombian Spanish. It says, para padre no hay hijo feo. For every parent, ain't no ugly child, bro.
Boy,
it don't matter.
Ain't no ugly kid.
It don't care. I don't care if homie look like an alligator. He's still beautiful.
Jeffrey Dahmer ain't no ugly kid.
Come on, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Not him, dog. Anybody but him.
Oh my gosh. Man, it's just, you know, even just going back, you know, to your viral moment. It is just, I think it's just so disturbing. And it's just, and it shows that it happens in not just my community. It happens in a lot of communities, clearly. Because what I did not know is that your own kid could hate you too.
Girl,
the way that they could. And the thing about it is,
I wasn't worried about what anybody else said. I was worried about my own community. And that's what made me so okay with exiting the community.
And that's so crazy to me because growing up, like, I didn't grow up with a lot of Nigerians when I was young. I grew up in Greens Point, Houston, Texas. Ain't no Nigerians there. It's like a few. Yeah. It's like literally a few. So like you have like a few the few that I knew, I grew up with, and I was the oldest of all of them. So and we're still like close to this day. So like going to U of H, I was like, wow, there's lots of Africans over here.
Yeah.
Like it was like it was literally a culture shock for me, you know. And even still meeting them, I didn't hear, oh, like, you know, oh, you're cute for a dark person, or you're pretty for a dark. I didn't hear any of these things growing up because again, I grew up with nothing but black folks. You know, so like it's just like, wow, like people are hearing, there's a lot of like colorist things that people are experiencing. Like, I mean, you hear, honestly with Nigerians, you hear all types of different experiences. You hear that they were called African booty scratchers. You hear people was called niggas. You hear one word, you hear another thing. You hear all types of stuff. And it's just like, I'm like, a lot of those things I truly didn't experience. Not because I didn't want to, is because it just wasn't around me. So when I'm hearing other black friends, other people in different communities like you guys, that look like me, or even y'all, like in your communities, I'm like, how do you not like your people that look like you? Like y'all look alike.
There's a certain form of jealousy, I like to think in it, because the hand in hand what went when those comments was, a lot of people were like, hey, are you jealous? Are you jealous that you can't have this type of woman?
The thing about it is, it's the insecurity. It's the fact that because they can't.
Yeah, they can't.
Because they can't. And they won't because they're scared about what's going to happen at home. They're scared to be excommunicated because what do we say? Going against the grain, it costs.
It does cost.
It costs. And you know, and you will never know the profit unless you actually go through it. So like the thing about it is, actually going outside of the Indian culture, that's not common. That's what I'm hearing, is that it's not common in your culture.
It's still taboo. I feel like it's one of the cultures that will hold its purity for the longest.
I mean, we still over here trying to figure out, like even in Nigeria, like you see people that bring home like white women
Yeah.
white girlfriends, white wives and things like that. And let me tell you, it is still a taboo. Like, oh, your Oyibo wife is coming. Why do y'all have to call her the Oyibo wife? Why can't it just be his wife? Oyibo is white.
Oh, Igbo.
So like, why can't you just say, oh, his wife is here?
Yeah.
Why can't you just accept because you will have those Nigerians it's something that me and my cousin say. It doesn't matter where you go in this world, you will find a Nigerian.
Yeah.
In Sweden, in Russia, in Yugoslavia, and you're gonna find a Nigerian somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And when you find a Nigerian, usually they have a different spouse. They're gonna have a different girlfriend. My cousin that's in London is not marrying somebody that's Nigerian, and we have accepted that, and I'm okay with that. And, I mean, it's not even up to me, but I always let her know, like, girl, go marry who you were called to marry.
Yeah.
Go date who you were called to date. Because in our culture, and she's gotten a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
A lot of heavy backlash on that because it's not common in our family.
Yeah.
It's not common. So on my end, I married a Nigerian. Not only did I marry a Nigerian, I married somebody in my tribe.
Yep.
I married another Igbo person.
Cool.
So and it wasn't planned. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's who you
planned.
found at your
It's just who I found. This was somebody I met when I was a kid, and and just worked out. It was whatever, So it was like on the other end when I'm like, well, I technically married my own kind, really, really married my own kind with the same tribe and everything, speak same language. Hell, our places in Nigeria are not far from each other.
Wow.
Right.
So it's like I didn't experience going outside of the norm or whatever the norm is, So when I'm hearing other people, I'm like, what is the big deal? And then it makes me now sit down and listen. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I can see that. And so when I see other family members going through it as well, I'm just like, wow. So it is, it's something, I hate being ignorant. So I hate ignorance, especially if I know I have an opportunity to learn and to gain some wisdom and some perspective, because first of all, you guys should never feel the way that you feel, especially when you love someone, especially there's a way that God brings people together that we just cannot fathom. We cannot we just cannot fathom. I don't know how he does it, but he knew us before the womb, as far as I'm concerned. Right. There's a way that he puts people together that we can never imagine. And I feel like I pray, what I pray for this world is that we just understand the gift of love.
Yes.
We understand the gift of love and actually give ourselves the opportunity to love someone back, because a lot of us have literally blocked our blessing.
Yeah.
Because of something that doesn't look
for sure.
Something that doesn't look culturally accepted, something that doesn't look familiar.
Something that's not even back in the day, it was financial class?
Yeah.
It trickles. There's always something.
It's always something. It's
don't forget, arranged marriages was big in it.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's still, in Nigeria, that's everywhere. To this day, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
To this day, it's a thing. But back then, it was prominent.
Yeah.
It was prominent. So I truly want people to understand the true gift and the meaning of love and how look, God is love.
Yeah.
Amen.
God is love.
Say that.
Give yourself the opportunity to love someone. Don't block your blessing because something is not culturally accepted. If it's ordained, you can't stop it.
Never.
You can't. You cannot. You
What
cannot.
what God has built, you can never break.
Right.
You can't. No matter how you try to break it.
Right.
So I'm so grateful y'all came today. This conversation, it is I'm going to think about this for a very long time. Y'all have me really, really thinking. I'm sitting. I'm just letting everything marinate, and I'm just processing everything. This is not really going to hit me until probably after a week, to be honest with you. I'm talking about this, but
When you're running through the clips.
I appreciate y'all so much for coming today, and just even inviting me to your vulnerability, inviting me into your own space, things that you probably have never even talked about out loud, But that's why the couch is important. That's why we fellowship. That's why we do this.
That's why we
because
do this.
look, like I said, it's one thing to come to. It's one thing to have a conversation, but it's another to actually build the space for people to feel safe to do that.
Yes.
Because when people let you in, you gotta come with respect. You gotta give them the floor, you know. So I appreciate y'all's voices.
Amen.
I thank you so much for coming, and I love all of you guys.
I love you,
Love
girl.
you too.
Thank you
And
for having us.
I hope you guys, wedding planning, don't let that stress you out.
It's a
Make
fun
this
time.
the best time of your life.
It's a really fun
Because
time.
it's supposed to be amazing.
Don't be afraid to cut people off during the journey.
That part.
Bang.
Anyway, y'all, bye.